Good afternoon, everybody. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV. We are here to bring you live coverage because President Trump will be making an announcement at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Personally, I think it's going to be renaming the Department of Defense to the Department of War because reportedly that was going to happen today, but I'm not sure that that's what the announcement's going to be. Maybe it's going to be multiple announcements. I don't know. If I had to bet, which I am not doing, if I had to bet, I would guess it's the renaming of the Department of Defense to the Department of War. But you never know, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see. So far, I have not gotten any kind of firm answer about what it is about. So it's just an announcement. So we'll cover it. And also, it's very possible that he will announce one thing and then talk about a lot of other things and take questions. So that could happen as well. But this is a White House event. 6EX says, could it be about Venezuela? I mean, yeah, I haven't heard anything like reported that I think he would make an announcement about, but you never know. Maybe he's going to announce multiple things. But my guess, this is just a guess, is that it's going to be about the name change for the Department of Defense. So we're going to talk about that. And we are going to take some of your comments on the air. The announcement's scheduled for 4 Eastern Time. We're gonna talk before then. We're gonna talk about some of the latest developments, some big news stories happening now. So we'll talk about that and let you know breaking updates before it starts. But we'll have live coverage when it starts. I came on a little early to talk about some of the stories that it could be about. Well, and just some of the stories in general going on, and some stories he might be asked about. Hey, thanks, by the way, so much to Southern Guy and Debbie, our members. Thank you very much. And Nuclear Salmon, thanks for being a member. Also, thanks to all of our moderators. Thanks to Yannick Bork, our member, too. Thanks to all of our moderators. Let me shout some of them out before we begin here. One moment. Thanks, Lone Macaroon, for being a member, too. Thanks to Matthew Kohai 3 and Mick Bridges, who are moderating over there on Twitch. Thank you. Also, thanks to Kay Larry Body and Christina Neal, who are moderating. Thank you. And our subscribers, Martha Crawford, Sharon Klassen Goslin, Kay and Margaret, and our other subscribers, Linda Belk, Larry, and Misha on X. Okay, so let's start by talking about this. I think this is the #1 candidate for what this is about. Oh, I don't know that anybody's going to be speaking beforehand, but I do have a camera also from the White House outside. I want to show you this real quick. Hold on. I got to get it set up for you, though. So we may have some other White House officials speaking before then. Where is this? That is live at the White House. So I don't know that any other officials are going to come out and say anything before then. But in case they do, we have a camera there. It's not my personal camera. I pay for the rights to it. But it is there. So I'll keep an eye on that. Nobody there at the moment. Alex Smith says announcement at 4 p.m. on a Friday. I mean, I don't know about the scheduling. I mean, it is when the markets are closing. But again, I haven't heard of anything else that would seem like to warrant one of these events other than this Department of Defense, Department of War thing. So if it's something else, I think it might be a bit of a surprise, but I don't know. I guess you're saying like what he was supposed to. So what happened was, I know he was supposed to sign some executive orders at 2, and I don't know if the thing at 2 got combined with the thing at 4. And one of those orders he was supposed to sign was doing this name change thing. So maybe he'll end up just signing that at 4. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. If a lot of times you'll get reporting that says during the day, oh, the thing he's announcing it for is definitely this. I actually haven't seen any such report like that today that I would consider reliable. So it's still possible he might announce something else. Yeah, he does. It's very regular. I would say it's basically weekly now that he does some kind of event, if not more than once a week, where it's just called an announcement. It does not mean it's groundbreaking news. A week or two ago, he did an announcement. It was on the World Cup. Okay, so let's talk about the name change thing. By the way, thanks to Daddy Jim from the UK for your support. Also, Heavenly Intervention, who thinks he will announce that that there's an alien spacecraft. I haven't heard anything about that. All right, so I'll keep an eye on this outdoor camera at the White House. Oh, who is this? Is that Stephen Miller on the right? I don't know. I'm just, given how it looks from the back, I'm wondering if that's Stephen Miller. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Stephen Miller were at the White House, but I don't know. Oh, look, we have another angle. Another angle. It's the NBC News booth. Maybe Stephen Miller is doing an interview. Look at this. We have bonus footage here. Bonus live footage. Hey, thanks, PZ Papa Zulu. Thanks for your support. I bet he's doing an interview. He just took out his gum, looked like. Maybe we get a little volume here. You have any volume? I think I need to put my headphones on. I think that's Stephen Miller. It's not Stephen Miller? I couldn't really see. Anyways, I'm not going to worry about that right now. We'll check back in on that. We'll check back in on it. Let's talk about this here. So this is what I think it's going to be about today. No, not that. This. Trump to rebrand Defense Department as War Department. I bet it's going to be about this. This is an article from the Washington Post. President Trump is expected to rebrand the Defense Department to the Department of War through an executive order today, a move that the administration has said more accurately reflects the mission of the men and women serving in uniform today. According to a document describing the forthcoming executive order, it said, restoring the name Department of War will sharpen the focus of this department on our national interest and signal to adversaries America's readiness to wage war to secure its interests. The administration has been teasing the change for weeks, with Trump telling reporters during an Oval Office meeting last month that the renaming would be coming very soon. On Thursday, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, in a commencement speech to new military officers at Fort Benning in Georgia, said his job title may be a slightly different title tomorrow. We'll see. But it was not clear if the president could unilaterally rename the department, which was created by Congress in 1789, as each iteration of the department's name has come about through legislation. Also unclear is whether the move is intended as a full-scale renaming, or if the administration intends to leave much of the Defense Department's historic signage intact and unchanged, even if Hegseth decides to call the agency Department of War. So it's possible that President Trump doesn't have the power to completely change the name. Based on the document describing the change, the administration may be seeking to circumvent congressional action by saying that the action would use the Department of War as a secondary title for the Department of Defense. However, the executive order would authorize Hegseth and the department to use secondary titles such as Secretary of War, Department of War, and Deputy Secretary of War in official correspondence, public communications, ceremonial contexts, and non-statutory documents within the executive branch, the document says. Music Muse says, I guess we'll know in an hour or so. Here's a little background here. Congress established the agency to be led by a Secretary of War. The bill was signed into law by President George Washington. Following World War II, the War Department was temporarily renamed the National Military Establishment. A 1949 amendment renamed the agency once again to its current name, the Department of Defense. Official name changes come with a hefty price tag, says the Washington Post. The blue seal of the Department of Defense is on hundreds of installations and government buildings across the globe. Official signage, stationery, and publications across the services may also need to be overhauled. Under the Biden administration, an effort to rename military facilities honoring Civil War-era Confederates cost more than $60 million. When Trump returned to office, Hegseth undid much of that work. So again, there is reporting out there, like this report from the Washington Post, that says Trump is going to announce today that the Department of War is being rebranded. The Department of Defense is being rebranded to the Department of War. Uh-oh, I think we see Stephen Miller. Hold on. Is that Stephen Miller? I think he's doing an interview. That looks like Stephen Miller to me. We have our bonus camera from AFP at the White House. It looks to me like Stephen Miller is getting ready to do an interview. Rules says of the possible name change, I voted for this. Lynn says that deserves an announcement. I mean, I leave it to you what you think what should be announced. But I don't know for sure this is going to be the announcement, but that's my thought. Sparky Pilot says, yeah, they voted for meaningless waste of government money. Bonus coverage. So that certainly could be what the announcement is. Look, I have another story about the name change too, right here. Trump to rename Department of Defense Department of War, official says. That's from Reuters. The bearded him says, watch it be about the World Cup. I have not heard that there's going to be a World Cup announcement. Rita says, war sounds short-term, defense is an entire long-term strategy. Malik says, why not Department of Military? Elizabeth Hassel says, why does he want to rename it? According to the article we just read in the Washington Post, a document describing the forthcoming executive order says, restoring the name Department of War will sharpen the focus of this department on our national interest and signal to adversaries America's readiness to wage war to secure its interests. Ronald Lee says, I don't mind Department of War. Hey, thanks, by the way, to Certified Music and Joner Games. Thanks for the gift membership. We're watching a little bonus footage here, live coverage. This appears to be White House advisor Stephen Miller. Maybe he's literally doing the interview right there, right now. He is the Deputy Chief of Staff, by the way. Let me mention what Reuters is reporting about this name change. Reuters reports that President Trump plans to sign an executive order today to rename the Department of Defense the Department of War, a move that would put Trump's stamp on the government's biggest organization. The order would authorize Defense Secretary Hegseth, the Defense Department, and subordinate officials to use secondary titles, such as Secretary of War, Department of War, and Deputy Secretary of War, in official correspondence and public communications. So again, it basically would be an executive order saying you can use these different terms, but it wouldn't completely change the name. Perhaps because Congress needs to do that. I'm not sure. It's unclear. Also, according to Reuters, the executive order would instruct Hegseth to recommend legislative and executive actions required to make the renaming permanent. Reuters points out that since taking office in January, Trump has set out to rename a range of places and institutions, including the Gulf of Mexico, and to restore the original names of military bases that were changed after racial justice protests. Reuters says department name changes are rare and require congressional approval. But Trump's fellow Republicans hold slim majorities in both the Senate and House of Representatives, and the party's congressional leaders have shown little appetite for opposing any of his initiatives. Reuters points out that the Department of Defense was called the War Department until 1949. I think till 1947, actually. And then the name Department of Defense was chosen in part to signal that in the nuclear age, the U.S. was focused on preventing wars, according to historians. Reuters also says changing the name to Department of War would be costly and require updating signs and letterheads. And military, but it's not clear that they would update the signs and letterheads. Again, we appear to be watching Stephen Miller doing an interview in our bonus camera footage. Or getting ready to do an interview. That's my guess as to what we're seeing here on this camera. Crew Dog says, Department of Here Comes the Boom. Dina May says, is he doing an interview with NBC News? I don't know. It's possible that that's like an NBC News booth, but maybe other TV networks use it. So maybe there's like a microphone and a little setup in there for somebody to jump in and do an interview. And it doesn't mean it's all NBC News. I don't know. It could be with NBC News, but maybe maybe they let other networks use it. Actually, it says Newsmax on one of the polls there. See, it says Newsmax. So maybe that's just a location that multiple news outlets use when they want to do an interview with somebody. I don't have Newsmax on in front of me, but if you put him, maybe he's on one. I don't see him on Fox or any of the other. I don't see him on Fox, CNN, or MSNBC. Austin noticed that the poll had a Newsmax sticker, so. Sandy thinks Trump won't speak until 5. We'll have to see. The scheduled start time is 4. There's some other things going on I want to mention as well. I'm just seeing something, a little interesting story coming out right now. Hey guys, look at this. This is kind of interesting. This just came out. Anthropic, which is an AI company, is going to pay authors $3,000 for each of an estimated 500,000 books that, after a lawsuit by book authors, that the company took pirated copies of their works to train its chatbot. This is interesting. I'm going to show you this. Hang on one second here. Check this out. I just saw this. Anthropic to pay, is it Anthropic or Anthropic? I don't know. Anthropic to pay $1.5 billion to settle lawsuit over pirated chatbot training material. AI company Anthropic has agreed to pay $1.5 billion to settle a class action lawsuit by book authors who say the company took pirated copies of their works to train its chatbot, says AP. The landmark settlement, if approved, could mark a turning point in legal battles between AI companies and the writers, visual artists, and other creative professionals who accuse them of copyright infringement. The company has agreed to pay authors about $3,000 for each of an estimated 500,000 books. So $1.5 billion total. That person on the right is thriller novelist Andrea Bartz, who's one of a group of authors who sued last year. I just saw, this just came out right now. So the idea is that they, the training for these chatbots, popular AI chat pages or chat apps that that I know a number of you would use, and I use. The training involves showing it lots of material. and having it learn from reading the material. So this lawsuit was from authors who said, you trained your AI on our books, on pirated copies of our books. Anyways, I don't want to take too much time on this, but it just came out. I thought it was interesting. Cynthia Masters says, but will they stop doing it? Probably not. This is just one AI company, by the way. Effervescent Relief says, if you're using X, you are opting in to train Grok. Is that true? It might be true. I'm not positive. Uranium says, of course they trained on other people's work. This is how it works. All right, so I want to go past that. So we talked about how I would say, hold on, Stephen Miller is leaving from where his interview was. Hey guys, hold on. There's Stephen Miller. He just did an interview, it looks like. He's walking in the White House. Bonus live shot of Stephen Miller. Oh, is he going to say something? He's going to say something.
Hey guys, you're all going to hear from the president very soon, so I don't want to step on any announcements he may make, but I'm happy to take a few short questions.
Can we just get your reaction to the jobs report?
The president has presided over the most extraordinary economic turnaround in American history. During the Biden administration, we saw zero net job gains for American workers in 4 years, which is an economic depression for American workers. It's an actual depression. Since President Trump has came into office, 100% of job gains have gone to American workers, as millions of foreign workers who are here illegally have left the country. So this is the biggest economic turnaround in American history. On top of that, you have $4 trillion from the CBO. It's going to be much more than that coming into the Treasury from the tariffs, the historic trade policy. You have well over $15 trillion of pledged foreign investment coming into the country to revitalize the economy, and you have the passage of the largest package of tax cuts and reforms in American history. So we are living through the most successful, extraordinary economic revival. You see car plants coming in, you see steel plants coming in, you see manufacturing plants coming in. You're going to see all these critical industries, pharmaceuticals, chips, semiconductors, reshoring. It is truly the great American revival that President Trump has unleashed. And of course, we're also going to, we have seen the most extraordinary job growth for American workers and American citizens that we've seen in recent history, coming off a period of 4 years where every single job went to a foreign worker. Foreign workers are now leaving the economy. American workers are getting all the benefits. And of course, we have larger issues to deal with the integrity of BLS that President Trump has spoken about. And we're going to get that fixed, and we're going to get honest and accurate jobs numbers. Next question. Yes, sorry. Yes, yep.
Can you respond to Washington, D.C. trains suing the Trump administration over the National Guard?
Well, I think the important thing is, the D.C. Attorney General's office is a separate office. It's not part of the mayor's office. Not many people may realize that in Washington, D.C., that the Attorney General operates completely separate from the mayor's office, and which is an unusual setup because typically, the mayor would control the full administration of the justice authority within her city. The mayor's office, as you know, issued an executive order requiring long-term cooperation between the city and the federal government. And that's what President Trump has asked for from the beginning. He said that we want cities that want our help to formally seek it out and request it. And so the mayor, to her credit, she signed an executive order creating the framework for that long-term cooperation. And now as a result of that executive order, the federal law enforcement assets, the National Guard assets, and the full federal apparatus will be able to work with the city to deliver this extraordinary public safety improvement for the long term. And you're only seeing the very beginnings of this. So, during the first few weeks, of course, we've seen these radical reductions in violent crime. We're just getting started. DEA, ATF, FBI have only just begun to identify, disrupt, and dismantle the criminal organizations that have been wreaking havoc on this city for so long, and we're going to take them apart, member by member, group by group, piece by piece, and we're going to set this city free. I have time for one last question.
Even on immigration, could I ask you on immigration? Could I ask you on immigration?
And the Democrats' attempt to drive a wedge between President Trump and Secretary Kennedy, their attempt to do that, I guess, today's hearing.
The Democrats are continuing to support a completely failed approach to public health that we have seen over generations has resulted in chronic increases in obesity, in diabetes, in heart health, and just in general, the chronic disease burden on America has been extraordinary. It is the number one driver of public health costs, and it's the number one driver of early deaths. And of course, in particular, especially tragic has been the early childhood chronic disease burden. You know, so, and I say this as a parent of young children, there's so many kids you know who have allergies, who have asthma, who have skin conditions, you know, for example, psoriasis or eczema, who have all kinds of chronic digestive issues, gut issues. There's so many health issues. Not to mention, of course, the particularly terrifying illnesses like pediatric cancer. And so President Trump and RFK are working on getting to the systemic causes. What is in our environment? What is in our approach to healthcare? What is in our approach to medicine that is either failing to address or is contributing to this chronic disease burden? And we all celebrate RFK, Bobby, for his leadership in this issue, and President Trump has been committed from the beginning to developing a comprehensive approach to reducing chronic illness in America. Time for one last question. Over here.
Can I ask you about immigration, sir?
On Venezuela, President of Colombia is saying that cartel of the Suns does not exist. What can you answer, and which message do you send to people in Venezuela after this indictment of Nicolas Maduro?
Well, as you know, and thank you for bringing it up, Nicolas Maduro is an indicted drug trafficker. He's indicted in federal court. He's a fugitive from justice in America. As I think you're also aware, there's a $50 million reward for the return of Nicolas Maduro. Not just him, his henchmen have also been indicted. So it is a drug cartel that is running Venezuela. This is a very important point. It is not a government, it is a drug cartel, a narco-trafficking organization that is running Venezuela. And this has been documented in federal court, and indictments have been secured. The people of Venezuela have been suffering and struggling under the reality of a nation that is so rich in resources, so rich in reserves, that is run by Maduro, the head of the cartel that you referenced, the Cartel de los Sols. That is absolutely one of the most ruthless criminal cartels on the planet. And many Americans may not realize that the drugs killing their kids are coming from Maduro, and also the criminal aliens killing their kids are coming from Maduro. So he's sending his drugs, he is sending his killers, his assassins into our communities, and he's working directly with other designated foreign terrorist organizations like the FARC in Colombia and all the Mexican drug cartels. So it's one continuous loop. And for decades and for years, for generations, we used our military to engage in action against terrorists in the Middle East and in Africa, while leaving unharmed the terrorists in our own hemisphere who are responsible for so much more American deaths, so many more American deaths, who have spilled so much blood across the Western Hemisphere, who have bereaved so many parents and families, and who have contributed to such a horrific cycle and just nonstop, relentless surge of violence in our cities. Every major city in America is suffering from cartel violence. Even the U.S.-based gangs are working directly with these cartels. The drugs, the guns, the weapons, the cash, the organization. We've been occupied by cartels for far too long. President Trump is finally allowing and directing the United States military to use its authorities under the Constitution to defend America from the terrorist organizations that have run free for too long in our own hemisphere. Thank you all. Thank you for the question.
On foreign policy.
All right, that was Stephen Miller.
Have they started yet, sir? ICE in Chicago?
Stephen Miller is walking away. He's walking back into the White House, the Deputy Chief of Staff. So we got a little bonus coverage today. Got some bonus Q&A from Stephen Miller. I wonder if anyone else will come out. Hey, thanks to a couple people, by the way. Thanks to for your support. Andy Hootie, Aaron Dooley. Thanks, Aaron. Aaron's been a member for 4 years. I don't know that we have a 4-year tie, Aaron. I don't know if that's an option. I'll have to look. Thank you, Aaron. Also, Nick. Thank you, Nick, for your support. And Mr. E, thank you. And Mary. Hold on a second here. Oh, we just saw Kevin Hassett walk by. He is the director of the National Economic Council. White House advisor Kevin Hassett just walked by. Thank you, Mr. E and Nick and Mary for being a member. Thanks for Mary for being a member. Thanks, Miss Curvy. And also Mr. Ray Romantico and Hey New Girl. And thanks to Mary for the gift memberships. That's super nice of you, Mary. Thank you. Also, Artful Nothing, thanks for subscribing. Thanks, Matthew Kohai 3 for the gift sub. That's so nice of you. Thanks, Tater Mong, for subscribing. Thank you, Larry Picklejar, who says, so what's Trump's distraction from the terrible jobs report going to be? You know, Stephen Miller was asked about the jobs report. Oops, we lost that shot for a second. So we'll talk about the jobs report now. Thanks also to our moderators. Shout out to 13 Alamo, Good Luck Duck, I Got That Fire, Matthew Kohai 3, and McBritches on Twitch. Also, Linda Belk, Larry, Misha on X, Janet B over there on YouTube. Thanks so much for moderating. And thanks to Jesse's Girl for your support, and Cynthia Moon. And also Cap the Alien. Am I reading that right? Cap the Alien? I think it is. And also thanks to our Facebook moderators. Kay Lowry Body is over there moderating. Christina Neal. Thank you so much. Margaret Riley as well. And thanks Hopinson for your support. Thanks Hopinson. So soon we're going to have live video from the White House. That's coming up in theory in half an hour is the announcement. As I mentioned earlier, I think the announcement's going to be about changing the name of the Defense Department to the Department of War, which multiple outlets are reporting that's going to happen. But I'm not sure that's what the announcement's going to be about. All right, we got to talk about a couple other stories here. Jonathan's back. Our viewer says, how late will the president be? Jim, our viewer, says the fact this announcement comes on a Friday after markets close can lead one to believe this is bigger than the name change. Maybe he'll have multiple announcements. All right, so here's something about the jobs report today, which I think we just heard Stephen Miller asked about it. So this could get asked about if President Trump takes questions today. Oops, that's not what we want. We want this right here. U.S. hiring stalls with employers reluctant to expand in an economy grown increasingly erratic. This is from AP. The American job market, a pillar of U.S. economic strength since the pandemic, they say, is crumbling under the weight of President Trump's erratic economic policies. Here's the numbers from today. The Labor Department reported today that U.S. employers, companies, government agencies, and nonprofits added just 22,000 jobs last month, down from 79,000 in July and well below the 80,000 that economists had expected. The unemployment rate ticked up to 4.3% last month, also worse than the expected and the highest since 2021. Scott Anderson, chief U.S. economist at BMO Capital Market, wrote in a commentary, the U.S. labor market deterioration intensified in August. He noted that hiring was slumping dangerously close to stall speed. This raises the risk of a harder landing for consumer spending in the economy in the months ahead. So this certainly could be talked about. If he takes questions, I would think somebody will ask about this. AP points out also that they say any job gains last month were remarkably narrow. Healthcare and social assistance companies, a category that spans hospitals to daycare centers, added nearly 47,000 jobs in August and now account for 87% of the private sector jobs created in 2025. Here's something else. Hold on a second here. Here's another headline about the same thing. U.S. job growth slows sharply in August. Unemployment rate ticks higher. This is from Reuters. The pace of U.S. job growth slowed more than expected in August, and the unemployment rate increased, pointing to signs of slowing labor market conditions and boosting expectations that the Federal Reserve will need to be more aggressive in cutting interest rates. Non-farm payrolls increased by 22,000 jobs in August, after rising by an upwardly revised 79,000 in June. The Labor Department data showed on Friday economists had forecast 75,000 jobs added. The unemployment rate went to 4.3% from 4.2%. You can see Reuters also says Fed is on track for string of rate cuts as labor market weakens. They say Federal Reserve policymakers look set to kick off a series of interest rate cuts this month to shore up an increasingly fragile labor market, after a government report today showed job growth nearly stalled and the unemployment rate rose in August. While Fed Chair Jerome Powell is likely to interpret the addition of a paltry 22,000 jobs last month with caution, given the drop in immigration, the tick up in the unemployment rate to 4.3%, the highest level since October 2021, will raise some alarm bells. With employers hiring only slowly, Powell said last month, any increase in what has been a very low rate of layoffs could lead to a sharply higher jobless rate. The weaker than expected jobs data have put concerns about the deterioration of the labor market on the front burner. Bank of America economists said the August jobs report should cement a shift in the Fed's thinking from worrying about inflation to focusing on labor market's weakness. The Wall Street firm now sees quarter percentage point rate cuts in September and December and a Fed policy rate of 3 to 3.25% by the end of the year. So there could be questions about the new jobs number. There was something else I wanted to point out about the new jobs report, which is that, yes, revised numbers today in the new jobs report, the numbers from June were revised. And the revised numbers say that the economy lost a net 13,000 jobs in June, which is the first such decline since December 2020. Multiple outlets reported that. Oh, I have this. I have it right here for you. Right here. U.S. unemployment rate near 4-year high as labor market hits stall speed. Reuters. Revisions to the establishment survey data showed payrolls declined by 13,000 jobs in June, the first drop since December 2020. Now, President Trump did not directly comment on the employment report, but he did reiterate his long-standing grievance with Fed Chair Jerome Powell over high borrowing costs. So let me show you what President Trump posted earlier today. Now, maybe he'll say something specific about the jobs report at his appearance coming up. You can see right here, President Trump posted earlier today, 5 hours ago, Jerome Too Late Powell, where is this here? Jerome Too Late Powell should have lowered rates long ago. As usual, he's too late. Brad thinks he's going to announce sending the National Guard into Baltimore and Chicago. I don't know if he's going to announce that today. Again, I'm not sure. My thought is that he's going to announce changing the name of the Department of Defense to Department of War. Pimp Lord Bofo says the Fed is soon hiring a new head, more jobs. Maniac McGee thinks people aren't spending as much and companies are looking to cut costs to keep their margins. Doc P thinks late Friday news conferences are never positive. Mud Puppy says, I'm surprised these numbers haven't been blamed on Biden yet. Now, something that I'm a Peaky Blinder points out, which I think is a fair thing to point out. I'm a Peaky Blinder, our viewer, says cutting interest rates too aggressively will reignite inflation. So that can be an issue. If the Fed cuts interest rates to try to promote more hiring and stimulate the economy, that could increase inflation. It's a fair point. All right, hold on a moment here. Just hold on a moment. So we are waiting for... Now, it's supposed to be in 20 minutes. Will it start on time? Oh, hold on a second. I have a breaking update for you. We have breaking news update about New York. You ready? And this might involve Trump too. Mayor of New York City, Mayor Eric Adams will make an important campaign announcement at 4:30 Eastern Time. That's from Ed O'Keefe with CBS News. So there has been reporting, for example, by Politico, that has said that the White House has been trying to get Eric Adams to take a Trump administration job so that he leaves the mayor race in order to hurt the chances of Mamdani. Of Zohran Mamdani. So that, I mean, Politico has been reported that. Politico has a headline today saying Eric Adams eyed by Trump for Saudi Arabia ambassadorship. And Politico says that Adams is facing pressure to pull out of the race to hurt the frontrunner Zoran Mamdani. So again, Eric Adams will be making an important campaign announcement at 4:30 Eastern Time. So was he going to announce today that he's pulling out of the race and that he's taking a job in the Trump administration? Oh my gosh. So we have Eric Adams' announcement at 4:30. Give me one moment here. We should have footage of that announcement. All right, so that's a big development, a big new development. Just got word of it. How about that, guys? How about that, guys? So one of our viewers said, how would it hurt Mamdani's chances? I guess in theory, the idea would be is that the opposition is being split to Mamdani among multiple candidates. Actually, Trump said last night he would support a two-person race. Here, look. So this is an article from AP. Oops. But this is an article from earlier today from AP, and it says, New York Mayor Eric Adams on Friday said he is willing to listen to job opportunities that would allow him to serve his country, but has not yet received any formal offers. And he said today he intends to stay in office and continue campaigning. The statement came amid revelations that intermediaries for President Trump have reached out to people close to Adams to talk about whether the Democrat would consider abandoning his re-election campaign to take a federal job. Yesterday, Trump told reporters he would prefer not to have Zoran Mamdani, the 33-year-old Democratic nominee, as the city's next mayor. Trump said yesterday he'd like to see 2 out of the 3 other major candidates, which also include former Governor Andrew Cuomo and Republican Curtis Sliwa, leave the race to create a one-on-one contest. Adams is running as an independent in the general election after skipping the primary, saying he was sidelined from campaigning by his now dismissed federal bribery case. Hang on a second here. Oh, by the way, I should point out the mayor election is not ranked choice voting. So you might think, well, why does it matter? So in the primary election in New York for mayor, it was ranked choice voting, where you rank your choices. And so if the person who was your first choice doesn't get enough votes, then they will throw out that person's votes, and then they go to the people who put them as their first choice, they go to their second choice. So I know it's a lot to explain, but basically you list your choices. So it matters not just who you want your first choice is, but you can if you vote you can rank them all, and so if your first choice doesn't get enough votes, then your vote can go to your second choice. So you might think, well, why would it matter how many people are running against Mamdani if there's ranked choice voting? Well, there's not ranked choice voting for the general election. Okay? So in theory, what might happen, I guess this is the thinking of the White House, maybe. In theory, you might have more than half the people vote against Mamdani, but they split up their votes among 3 different candidates, and Mamdani gets more than any of those individual candidates opposing him. So it seems that what Trump wants to do is have it be a 2-person race. So you got to vote for one or the other. But I appreciate the viewer for bringing that up. But for the general election, it is not ranked choice voting. You vote for one candidate. That's it. Okay, so we just heard that Eric Adams will be making an announcement at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So now I don't even know what's going to come first. What if President Trump is delayed? We could hear from Eric Adams first. Give me one moment here. Give me one moment here. Sorry, there's a lot going on right now. I'm checking for updates. All of this happening on a Friday afternoon. Friday late afternoon, guys. We didn't even talk about the huge raid at a Hyundai plant yesterday, in which almost 500 people were taken into custody by ICE, including, according to the Wall Street Journal, over 300 South Korean nationals. We didn't even talk about that yet. All right, so let me just kind of sum up what's going on right now. Let's sum up what's happening. It's very busy. Got very busy all of a sudden. So, at 4 p.m., supposedly, although I don't know if it's happening on time, it's supposed to be in 10 minutes. So we'll see if it starts on time. In 10 minutes, President Trump's supposed to make an announcement. As I've been saying this whole stream, I think the announcement is going to be that the name of the Department of Defense is being changed to the Department of War, because that's been reported as going to happen today. I'm not sure that's what the announcement's going to be. I haven't seen reporting that that's what the announcement is going to be in this appearance by President Trump. There's reporting saying that that's going to happen today, or it's happened today. Okay. So that's one. Second of all, we have just heard that Mayor Eric Adams of New York City, who is running for mayor as an independent, he is going to be making an important campaign announcement in 39 minutes. This comes after there's been a bunch of reporting saying that Trump and the Trump administration has offered Eric Adams some job in the Trump administration because Trump wants him to pull out of the race to hurt the chances of Zoran Mamdani. So, is that happening today as well? Is Mayor Eric Adams going to announce that he's taking a job in the Trump administration? I got to put another thing on the screen saying Mayor Eric Adams announcement. Well, I'll keep saying it. There's just too much going on. So we should have both of those things. Wow. Okay, so we were waiting for a Trump announcement and Eric Adams announcement. How about soon? Trump and NYC Mayor Adams both making announcements. Not at the same place, I don't believe. Wow. By the way, another thing we didn't talk about yet. Oh, sorry. I'm supposed to have my ringer off when I do these things. And I didn't have my ringer off. Now my ringer is off. My ringer is off. Another thing we didn't talk about is this report about Venezuela that U.S. planes are being sent to Puerto Rico. Stealth planes. We didn't even talk about this. Look at this. U.S. deploying stealth fighter jets to Caribbean for drug fight as tensions with Venezuela rise, sources say. This is from Reuters. We didn't even get to talk about this yet. Too much going on. Reuters says the U.S. has ordered the deployment of 10 F-35 fighter jets to a Puerto Rico airfield to conduct operations against drug cartels, sources say, adding more firepower to intensifying U.S. military operations in the Caribbean that are stoking tension with Venezuela. The new deployment of 10 F-35 fighter jets comes on top of an already bristling U.S. military presence in the southern Caribbean as President Trump carries out a campaign pledge to crack down on groups he blames for funneling drugs into the United States. The disclosure about the F-35 jets came hours after the Pentagon accused Venezuela of a highly provocative flight on Thursday by Venezuelan fighter jets over a U.S. Navy warship. That follows a U.S. military strike on Tuesday that killed 11 people and sank a boat from Venezuela that Trump said was transporting illegal drugs. At every turn, the Trump administration has sought to tie the Venezuelan president Nicolas Maduro's government to narco-trafficking, allegations Caracas denies. More specifically, Trump has accused Maduro of running the Tren de Aragua gang, which the administration designated a terrorist organization in February. Sources said 10 U.S. fighter jets are being sent to conduct operations against designated narco-terrorist organizations operating in the southern Caribbean. The plane should arrive in the area by late next week, they said. F-35s are highly advanced stealth fighters and would be highly effective in combat against Venezuela's Air Force, which includes F-16 aircraft. A U.S. official speaking on condition of anonymity said 2 Venezuelan F-16s flew over the USS Jason Dunham yesterday. The Dunham is one of at least 7 U.S. warships deployed to the Caribbean, carrying more than 4,500 sailors and Marines. So is this a response to the reportedly two Venezuelan fighters flying over a U.S. boat yesterday, U.S. ship yesterday? Ronit Vlogs thinks yes. By the way, Camus, thank you. Camus thinks Trump is going to bomb Venezuela to distract from Epstein list. Thanks also Eddie V for your support, Janet B for being a member and a moderator, Anna Metallica, thanks for the memberships. Anna Metallica, thanks for the gift memberships. Very nice of you. Thank you, Calvin Aubrey and Dan and Maggie for the gift memberships. All right, so the Trump announcement start time is in 3 minutes. Will it start on time? I don't know. Also, Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, is making an important campaign announcement at 4:30. Will he announce that he's taking a job in the Trump administration? Reports say President Trump wants to offer him a job so he'll leave the race, which would make it harder for Mamdani to win in New York. There is a lot going on right now. Oh, hold on a moment. All right, so I don't know that President Trump's announcement is going to start in 2 minutes like it's supposed to. I have not heard from the White House press pool that it's starting in 2 minutes. I haven't seen any footage yet from the White House. I'm looking for it. We'll have it for you. Wow, lots going on. All right, I got to keep an eye out. I would not be surprised if Trump is starting late today. Matt Palmieri says, wasn't the DOD originally called the Department of War in the early 1900s? Yeah, so the Department of Defense was, I mean, without getting into disputes over whether it's the exact same department, the department was originally the Department of War until 1947. Then in 1949, it was named the Department of Defense. It has been Department of Defense since 1949. Thanks, Matt, for writing in. Okay, so I'm going to take the clock down in a minute because I don't see a sign that President Trump is starting in a minute. Normally, I get footage from the White House before he's speaking, and I don't even have footage yet, so. All right, so in the meantime, there's another story I want to bring up. So we talked about how a bunch going on. So it's been reported that President Trump's going to announce the renaming of the Department of Defense to Department of War today. That might be what the announcement is about. Also, Mayor Eric Adams with an important campaign announcement at 4:30 Eastern Time coming up. Also, a jobs report came out today, which was not very good. We talked about that earlier. Also, reportedly, the U.S. is sending 10 F-35 stealth fighters to Puerto Rico to conduct operations against drug organizations in the area, which could include Venezuela. That's happening. We didn't even talk about the ICE raid yesterday at the Hyundai plant. So, and that could get asked. All of these things could be asked about if President Trump takes questions, or he could just talk about them. Maybe if I have first of all, I got to take the clock down because basically we're now after the official start time for Trump's announcement. So at this point, any moment, you can see that it says Trump to rename Department of Defense, Department of War, official says. So I'm just getting the clock down because that's going to be confusing to people. Now we're waiting for two announcements. President Trump and also Eric Adams. Guys, there's a lot going on right now. Look, here's this. Yesterday, this is a big story too. Homeland Security official says 475 people were detained during an immigration raid at a Hyundai plant in Georgia, and the Wall Street Journal said over 300 of them are South Korean nationals. Does this article mention that? Hold on, I have a couple articles about this. This headline from the Washington Post says that the raid at the Hyundai factory in Georgia is Trump administration's largest yet. Law enforcement agents raided a Hyundai factory in Bryan County, Georgia on Thursday, arresting hundreds of immigrant workers in the largest worksite raid since President Trump retook the White House. By the way, South Korea is not happy about this. The majority of those arrested in the worksite raid are South Korean nationals, according to Homeland Security official Stephen Schrank. He said 475 people were arrested. The majority were South Korean nationals. He said some of them had crossed the border illegally, while others did not have permission to work or had overstayed their visas. He called this, the official from Homeland Security called it a multi-month criminal investigation where we have developed evidence, conducted interviews, gathered documents, and presented evidence to the court in order to obtain a judicial search warrant. The massive raid follows months of strained negotiations between the U.S. and South Korea over tariffs and investments. In August, the presidents of both countries met after Trump suggested on social media that the U.S. might stop doing business with South Korea. That meeting came after both countries agreed on the outline of a deal reached this summer that would have South Korea potentially invest hundreds of billions of dollars in business with the United States. In recent weeks, Hyundai has pledged to invest $26 billion in the United States. The worksite raid prompted South Korean Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lee Jae-woong to warn that the economic activities of our companies investing in the U.S. and the rights and interests of our nationals must not be unfairly violated. So where's that all going to go? By the way, I saw reported that the arrests were focused on a construction site there where they're building, they're constructing something at the battery plant. It's a little confusing though. Yes, AP says agents focused their operation on an adjacent plant that's still under construction at which Hyundai has partnered with LG Energy Solution to produce batteries that power EVs. The South Korean government expressed concern and regret over the operation targeting its citizens. South Korean Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lee Jae-woong said in a televised statement, "The business activities of our investors and the rights of our nationals must not be unjustly infringed in the process of U.S. law enforcement." The Foreign Ministry spokesperson for South Korea said the Foreign Ministry of South Korea is dispatching diplomats from its embassy in Washington and consulate in Atlanta to the site and planning to form an on-site response team. So I don't know if this is going to be talked about today, this huge raid that detained almost 500 people yesterday at a Hyundai plant in South Korea. Over 300 of them were South Korean citizens. Oh, hold on. Yeah, the White House feed is live, but the actual broadcast is not live. The White House, thank you, the White House feed is live. Give me a moment here. I'm just getting ready to show you all this. Getting ready to show you everything. Announcements! Breaking news! It says announcements. Hey guys, it says announcements plural. Announcements plural, more than one announcement. Multiple announcements. All right, so that's the first. It's not just an announcement, it's announcements with an S. We're getting multiple announcements from the White House coming up. Oh my gosh, guys. What? And I hope that I would really hope that President Trump and Mayor Adams are not going to be speaking at the same time. That wouldn't be good. Multiple announcements coming up. Not just one, multiple. Bonus. Hey, thanks to Vanessa Lacey, our member, RS Pat, our member, Alaska, our member, Blissy, our member, PZ Papa Zulu, thank you. Kim Camus, 83489, thank you. Also, thank you to Big Dog Gaming, Kuzi Mirai on Twitch, Warlord Wolf, Table Tens, Artful Nothing, thank you. Our viewer, Carolyn Mallet, says, never a dull day with Trump. Fox News says, soon there will be, President Trump will be live. Soon. AP reports that a federal judge has blocked the Trump administration's ending of legal protections for 1.1 million Venezuelans and Haitians. AP says a federal judge today, this just in, ruled against the Trump administration from ending temporary legal protections that have granted more than 1 million people from Haiti and Venezuela the right to live and work in the U.S. The ruling by a U.S. district judge, Edward Chen of San Francisco, means 600,000 Venezuelans whose temporary protections expired in April or those whose protections were about to expire September 10th have status to stay and work in the U.S. So I'm guessing this might be appealed by the Trump administration. But again, AP just reported that a federal judge has ruled against the Trump administration from ending temporary legal protections that have now granted more than 1 million people from Haiti and Venezuela the right to live and work in the U.S. And according to AP, this ruling means 600,000 Venezuelans whose temporary protected status expired in April or whose protections were about to expire September 10th have status to stay and work in the U.S. So that just happened. I just saw that reported now. Oh, we will have video of Mayor Adams' announcement too. I have confirmed that. We have video of Mayor Adams' announcement. So, what's going to happen first? Mayor Adams is supposed to speak at 4:30 p.m. in 20 minutes. Remember, there's speculation that Mayor Adams will take a job in the Trump administration. President Trump said yesterday he wants all but 2 candidates. There are 3 candidates running against Zoran Mamdani for the mayor of New York City. President Trump is not a fan of Zoran Mamdani. He wants him to not win. President Trump wants 2 of the 3 candidates running against Mamdani to pull out. He wants it to be a one-on-one race. So there's speculation that there's reporting saying that the Trump administration has offered Adams a job in the administration. So will Mayor Adams announce today that he's taking a job in the Trump administration and dropping out of the race? We'll find that out soon, too. A big news day. Big news Friday afternoon. By the way, the Georgia governor announced today that 300 more National Guard troops, these from Georgia, will be going to D.C., for people who didn't see that. Hey, thanks to Bonnie Goodwin for your support. I really appreciate it, Bonnie Goodwin. Yes, again, 300 more National Guard troops going to D.C. These are coming from Georgia. Governor Brian Kemp of Georgia said a contingent of 316 guardsmen, 16 support staff, and approximately 300 soldiers will mobilize in and around the nation's capital to aid in restoring public safety following the president's executive order declaring a crime emergency in D.C. That was announced today by Governor Kemp in Georgia. All right, so we have 2 appearances coming up. We're waiting for President Trump to make announcements. Multiple announcements from President Trump coming up. More than one. You can see it right in front of you. And we're waiting for Mayor Eric Adams to speak, maybe announcing that he's taking a job in the Trump administration. Are both of these events going to... Well, the Trump one is already late. Trump was supposed to speak at 4, so that clearly... Oh, I'm going to show you a picture. Josh Wingrove, who's a reporter, says there is a dinner being hosted by President Trump tonight in the newly renovated Rose Garden, which has been paved over, a bunch of it. So I'll post a link to that in the chat. All right, hold on a second. Here it is. It's coming right now.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We'll start by signing 3 very important bills. And Will, would you discuss them, please?
Yes, sir. This is H.R. 2808. This is the Home Buyers Privacy Protection Act. The congressman here was the lead sponsor, so I think maybe he
John Rose, yes.
Say more about it than I can.
John, please.
Well, it's difficult for Americans to buy a home, particularly after the last 4 years, sir. But with the president's signature today, we're going to make it easy for people to buy a home without getting hassled. For years, their private personal information has been bought and sold in the open market, resulting in them getting innumerable phone calls and text messages. But with your signature today, we're going to put an end to that so that when Americans try to realize the American dream of owning a home, they're able to do so without being harassed.
Good job. Good. It's a great honor, John. Okay, there it is. And that's going to help a lot of the homeowners of our great country. John, want to hold that?
Sure.
Thank you, John, very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, Will, you go ahead.
And I'd like to leave you with this gift from a constituent back in Tennessee.
Oh, I could use that at night.
It's an American flag.
That's very nice. I like that.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. That's very nice.
Next, we have a number of executive orders for your attention, sir.
Okay.
From 1789 until 1947, our nation won some of its greatest military victories under the direction of a Secretary of War operating within a Department of War. Today, with this executive order, you will authorize the current Secretary of Defense and the current Department of Defense to once again embrace this great lineage and once again be named the Secretary of War and the Department of War.
So this is something we thought long and hard about. We've been talking about it for months, Pete and I, and Dan. Dan came into the fold. By the way, a great general. He headed up the, I wouldn't call it an attack. I'd almost call that one maybe even more than an attack. What he did with Iran, you saw the success of that operation. It was perfect. In fact, this was sent to me by the great company that makes that particular B-2 bomber, and it was flawless. It was actually flawless. They flew for 37 hours back and forth, and there wasn't a bolt that was out of condition. There wasn't an engine failure. There was no problem. It was a perfect attack, and it knocked out any possible nuclear capability for Iran, which nobody wanted to see, and we weren't going to put up with. So great job, Dan. And we've been talking about this Department of War. So we won the First World War. We won the Second World War. We won everything before that and in between. And then we decided to go woke, and we changed the name to Department of Defense. So we're going Department of War. And I'd like to ask our Secretary of War to say a few words. Pete Hegseth. I think it's a much more appropriate name, especially in light of where the world is right now. We have the strongest military in the world. We have the greatest equipment in the world. We have the greatest manufacturers of equipment by far. There's nobody to even compete. And you see that with this and so many other things. The Patriots are the best. Every element of the military, we make the best by far. So, Pete, I'd like to ask you and maybe Dan Raisin-Cane to say a few words, please.
Mr. President, thank you. After winning a war for independence in 1789, George Washington established the War Department, and Henry Knox was his first Secretary of War. And this country won every major war after that, to include World War I and World War II. Total victory, Mr. President, as you said. Then 150 years after that, we changed the name after World War II from the Department of War to the Department of Defense in 1947. And as you pointed out, Mr. President, we haven't won a major war since, and that's not to disparage our warfighters, whether it's the Korean War or the Vietnam War or our generation of Iraq and Afghanistan. That's to recognize that this name change is not just about renaming, it's about restoring. Words matter. It's restoring, as you've guided us to, Mr. President, restoring the warrior ethos, restoring victory and clarity as an end state, restoring intentionality to the use of force. So at your direction, Mr. President, the War Department is going to fight decisively, not endless conflicts. It's going to fight to win, not to lose. We're going to go on offense, not just on defense. Maximum lethality, not tepid legality. Violent effect, not politically correct. We're going to raise up warriors, not just defenders. So this War Department, Mr. President, just like America, is back. Thank you for your leadership and your clarity. We're going to set the tone for this country. America first, peace through strength, brought to you by the War Department. We're back.
All right, thank you very much. Very well stated, and really it has to do with winning. We should have won every war. We could have won every war, but we really chose to be very politically correct or wokey, and we just fight forever. And then we'd, win, we wouldn't lose really. We just fight to sort of tie. We never wanted to win wars that every one of them we would have won easily with just a couple of little changes or a couple of little edicts. I was told that ISIS would take 5 years to win, and Dan Kane, when I told him how long would it take, he said, I think about 4 weeks, sir. I said, what do you mean 4 weeks? I was told 5 years by the people in Washington. You know who they were? 5 years. I said, you can't do it in 4 weeks. I actually flew to Iraq to meet with him, and I met him at a big air base. And remember that famous day, right? It turned out to be a famous day for our country because you're now the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, which is the biggest deal. And he is, because he did things that everybody said he couldn't do. So they said it was going to be 5 years, and he knocked them out in about 4 weeks total, 100%. We took over, and ISIS was gone, and pretty amazing. But we never fought to win, and now if we have to fight it all, you know, we solved 7 wars. We have the one that I thought was going to be probably one of the easier ones, and that's with President Putin and Ukraine. And that turned out to be one that's a little bit more difficult, but the 7 are done. They were supposed to be much more difficult to solve. I solved every one of them, and we're going to get the other one done too. But it turned out to be a little bit more difficult than I thought. And it'll get done, or they'll be held to pay. But because they're losing 6 to 7, it used to be 5. I used to tell you 5. Now it's almost 7. I guess 7,000 people last week. 7,813 people, young soldiers, died. Russian and Ukrainian, not American soldiers. But it's a shame, and it's just, you know, they're human lives, and I want to see it stop. But General Kane's done a fantastic job. And again, defeated ISIS, which they said would take a long time. And it didn't take a long time at all, and did other things that people said really couldn't happen. We have the greatest equipment in the world. We have the greatest soldiers in the world. Dan, say a few words, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. It's a true honor for me today to represent the incredible men and women of America's joint force. Today and every day, the 2.8 million servicemen and women stand ready to fulfill our sacred duty to protect America at home and abroad. As the President said, America's military is the single most powerful fighting force in the world. The mission you and the Secretary have given us is clear and unambiguous: to deliver peace through overwhelming strength. And I remind everyone that the U.S. military can reach any adversary at the time and place of our choosing. Service to this nation is an incredible gift, and we're grateful and honored every day to do so. Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, thank you, and it's an honor to sign this. And we will do that right now. I think that's a big one, I'll be honest. That's a big one.
It's a big one, Mr. President.
Do you have any questions on this subject? We're going to be discussing the G20 in a couple of minutes, but yes, please.
Mr. President, what gave you the idea for this rebrand? And a question for you, the newly minted Secretary of War. What message does this send to our enemies, to our allies, to the American people? And again, what gave you the idea for this rebrand at this moment in history, sir?
I think it sends a message of victory. I think it sends really a message of strength. We're very strong. We're much stronger than anyone would really understand. And again, you know, having the great equipment, we have just so much better. You look at all of the, just any of it, submarines as an example. We're 20 years ahead of anyone else. Nobody even compares. And I let a lot of this happen in my first term. You know, we totally rebuilt our military. And then, of course, you had that catastrophe in Afghanistan, where they gave up a lot of the equipment, but a relatively small amount, but a lot. There was a lot in Afghanistan. I think it was the most, General, I'd say it was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country, the way that happened, the way they went to the wrong airport. They should have gone to Bagram, not the local little airport with no security, with tight quarters, etc. You know what happened. I think it was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, frankly. That was under the Biden administration. That was terrible. And we were going to be leaving, but we were leaving with strength and dignity. We were going to keep Bagram, because Bagram's 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. We're going to have that all to ourselves, a big, beautiful place built many years ago from money that today would be the equivalent of, you know, many, many billions of dollars. You couldn't build it. the longest runways, the most powerful runways in terms of load capacity, and we just walked away from it. So stupid. And they were fools. The people were fools. No, we have the strongest military, and I think that indicates we have the strongest military. And, you know, we had it, and we won World War I, we won World War II, we won everything before, and as I said, we won everything in between. And we were very strong, but we never fought to win. We just didn't fight to win. We didn't lose anything, but we didn't fight to win. We could have won every one of those wars quickly, but they went a route that I think was probably politically correct, but not correct for our nation. So I think the Department of War sends a signal. Yeah, please.
You alluded to this a little while ago, but you said that this rename is a, quote, a good reflection of where the world is at right now. How do you square naming it the Department of War when you've been pursuing peace in so many different parts of the world?
Well, I think I've gotten peace because of the fact that we're strong. If we weren't strong, those 7 deals I told you about, the 7 wars, a majority of them wouldn't have happened. They happened for 2 reasons, trade and our strength. Those are the 2 reasons. And probably strength may be more important than trade. So if I was very proud of all those wars. Those were wars that could not be settled, and I settled all of them. And we'll get the other one settled also. That'll get settled. But without the strength, we wouldn't have settled any of them. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, is it your expectation that Congress will codify this name change in the law?
I don't know, but we're going to find out. But I'm not sure they have to. We're signing an executive order today, but we're going to find out. We're going to see. If they do, we're going with it, and we're going with it very strongly. There's a question as to whether or not they have to, but we'll put it before Congress.
Do you know how much this rebrand will actually cost? And are there any concerns about, the Pentagon's mission of actually cutting back on spending?
But not a lot. We know how to rebrand without having to go crazy. We don't have to recarve a mountain or anything. We're going to be doing it not in the most expensive. We're going to start changing the stationery as it comes due and lots of things like that. We're not going to be doing things like have been done in the past when they change the name of forts that shouldn't have been changed. Those names of the forts should not have been changed, at least for the most part. And as you know, many of them have been changed back already. At the request of the communities, every one of those communities said, we want our name back, like Fort Bragg as an example. The people in that community wanted that name back. They refused to call it anything else but Fort Bragg. So we're not going to be spending very much money on that. Yes, please.
When you spoke with the Europeans and Zelensky earlier this week, did you preview this for them, and did you say what security guarantees they might be involved in?
This has nothing to do with anybody but the United States of America, the people of America. This is who I talk to about changing a name. This is a very important change because it's an attitude, and we know how to win. We've been winning, and we're going to win like you've never seen. Wait till these factories start to open up that are being built all over the country. You're going to see things happen in this country that nobody expects. We have over $17 trillion in investment coming into the country. We never did anything even remotely close to that. No other country has either, by the way. So you're going to see things that are pretty amazing. But it's really about winning.
And what about the security guarantees aspect of that with Ukraine, sir?
Well, we'll work that out. We'll help them. Look, we want to save a lot of lives, so we'll do something with that. I think people expect that. We'll help them. Europe will be first in by far, and they want to be first, and they want to see it end. Europe wants to see it end, and it'll end. It'll end all of a sudden. It's going to come together. You watch. Did you want something right?
Right here.
Yeah, behind you, please. Yes.
Yes, sir. You haven't been shy about taking bold, decisive, offensive action to protect American values. Strikes in Iran, strikes this past Tuesday on the positively ID'd Trendy Iraq narco-terrorists. Is that going to be a critical function of the Department of War?
It depends on the individual instance. We don't want drugs coming in from Venezuela or anybody else or any place else, and we'll be tough on that. We don't want human trafficking. We don't want to see people coming in where they open their prisons from all over the world and they dump their prisoners into our country, which is what they did in the Biden administration, where they took insane asylums and places that held people that were seriously mentally ill, mentally incompetent, mentally dangerous, and they dumped those people into our country, and we're trying to get them out now. What they've done, what the Democrats and Biden have done to this country will go down in infamy. What they have done to our country, and especially that, they created the worst inflation we've ever had. That's nothing compared to what they did with the people in our country right now. And we're getting them out, and it's not easy when you have the liberal judges destroying our country. But we've won them all. We've won it all, ultimately won it all. Hard process. It should be easier. We know who it is. We know exactly who we're looking for. We had 11,000 murderers dropped into our country. We've gotten a lot of them out. Or in some cases, they're so dangerous, we were afraid to get them out because they'd come back in. But for the last 120 days, 0 people came in. Can you imagine? This is me speaking, but these are figures developed by, they say, a pretty liberal group of people. They admit that 0 people came into our country. Think of that. A year ago, it was millions of people were coming in. Millions. They were coming in. You could look at them and you could say, big trouble. And that's what we have in our country. But we're getting them out, and despite that, we're doing really well. Yeah, please, Brian.
Comment on recruitment levels across the military.
Yeah. Well, the recruitment's the most exciting thing. So when I was campaigning for the office, numbers were coming out that the recruitment numbers, generally, you could speak to it better than anybody, the recruitment into the military, all branches of the military, and police and firemen and everything else. Anything having to do with like a public service, the numbers were horrible, record-setting bad. And now they're record-setting good. We're setting every record every month for recruitment. We're packed in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. My beautiful I love Space Command. I see Space Command, but Space Force has been, we've got a waiting list of people wanting to go in. A year ago, especially a year and a half ago, when I took the lead in the polls, which was very early, it really helped with the recruiting. And when I won from November 5th on, it's been amazing. And over the last 4 or 5 months, we're just packed. It was very hard to get police officers. Now the departments are loaded up. Everyone wants to be a policeman or woman. So it's been a great thing. General, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. As you said, serving our nation is an incredible gift that we give, and the reward on that gift pays back exponentially year over year. And I think the young people of America are seeing the importance of service, and whether it's in any of our armed services or in local police, fire, or rescue, service is an important thing that I personally encourage, and I know everyone else in government service sees that same reward.
And Peter, on recruitment, what do you think?
I was down at Fort Benning, the newly properly renamed Fort Benning, yesterday, watching Army basic training, and they're so full they can't barely handle the throughput. It is truly historic across all the services, as you said. It's been a surge into I was going to say the Defense Department, but I will say the War Department, and that you might almost call it a vibe shift. An attitude shift, a feeling that the country is back, that service is back. And there were military families last year, Mr. President, that said, I don't know if I can recommend, I wrote a book on this, I don't know if I can recommend service to my son or daughter, given what's been done to our military. You heard it over and over and over again. And I hear from those same military families right now, sir, and they're saying, I recommend to my kids that they go into this department, this Pentagon, under this commander-in-chief, who they know you'll have their back, and they want to serve. So it is historic, and it's the biggest reflection of how motivated Americans are by your leadership, sir.
It's nothing more than spirit, love for the country. I guess the esprit de corps, as they say, you have more of that than we've had maybe ever, frankly. But to see a turn over a period of less than a year, I would say, but to see a turn, nobody wanted to go into the military. Now everybody wants to go into the military. Jennifer, you wanted?
Yeah, there's some new reporting on North Korea and this Navy SEAL incident in 2019. Can you say if the administration has engaged with North Korea on that incident since it happened recently?
Yeah.
And then can you share some records?
I don't know anything about it, no. I'd have to, I could look, but I know nothing about it.
Can you confirm that it happened?
I don't know anything about it. I'm hearing it now for the first time.
Okay, great. And then on the Hyundai incident in Georgia with the the arrest of some workers, construction workers at the plant. Have you heard any feedback from Hyundai?
I just heard about that a little while before the news conference, and I would say that they were illegal aliens, and ICE was just doing its job. But I know nothing about the instance. It happened a little while ago. Okay.
There has been some pushback on that, though, from South Korea already, and of course, they pledged to invest $150 billion in the U.S. Just here, last week. Are you concerned?
Well, and they have the right to sell cars and things in our country. It's not like a one-sided deal.
Are you concerned at all about your immigration agenda potentially clashing with these economic goals?
Well, we want to get along with other countries, and we want to have a great, stable workforce. And we had, as I understand it, a lot of illegal aliens, some not the best of people, but we had a lot of illegal aliens working there. So, look, they're doing their job. That's what they have to do. These are people that came through with Biden. They came through illegally. They came into our country, so we have to do our job.
Mr. President, the now Department of War has been involved in the crime cleanup in D.C. You tasked Congress with proposing and passing a crime bill. What are some things that you would really like to see codified in that crime bill?
Well, I think one of the things is the cashless bail. It's killing it. When that came out, the first time, that's when you saw the real big crime start to happen. Cashless bail, what a disaster that is. You murder somebody, you don't have to put up bail, and you go out in the street and you murder somebody else. That's what's happened. It happens so often. And that's one of the things. And other of the things you're reading about, it's a standard, but just a certain toughness. I have to say, one of the elements of fascination for people over the last period of time has been what's happened to D.C. So we've gone from one of the most dangerous cities in our country to what they call a safe city. It's a totally safe city. In fact, I set up dinner in Washington, D.C. next week. I wouldn't have done that, to be honest. I would have had an obligation not to do it before I came into office, or even at the very beginning when things were so corrupt and so dangerous out on the streets. So Washington, D.C. has had virtually no crime. We even have a mayor that's admitting to it, and she's a liberal Democrat, in all fairness. She's a person that hasn't gotten exactly along with Republicans over the years. And she said she's never seen anything like it. So Washington, D.C. is a totally safe city. We have virtually no crime. It's gone from the most unsafe city in the United States, almost, just about, to one of the safest cities, maybe the safest city in the United States. That's a tremendous compliment to our military, what we did. The National Guard's done a fantastic job.
So,
yeah, please.
Mr. President, can I ask about Florida? Florida House Speaker Daniel Perez was at the White House yesterday as part of a leadership summit.
Yes.
And we understand you met with him separately. Mr. President, what did you talk about? And also, did you explore him running for Florida Attorney General?
I didn't. We didn't talk about that, but he's done a fantastic job. He's respected all over the country, really. He's a leader, and he's done just a fantastic job. We didn't discuss anything having to do with his future. I'm sure he'd be very good at that.
My second question, Alligator Alcatraz, sticking with Florida, a major ruling appeals court blocked a federal judge in order to close it, and if you remain open for now, your reaction?
I think they've done a fantastic job in building it, the governor and everybody else that's been involved. It's an incredible facility. It's housing people for usually a very short period of time before they get brought back to their countries. As you know, we focus on criminals before we focus on anybody else, and we're taking thousands and thousands of criminals out every month out of our country, some of them murderers. And I think Florida's done a great job by building it, and whether it's Alligator Alcatraz or anything else you want to call it, I was there. I visited with the governor, with other people. I guess Nikki was there. Tom Homan's been there a lot. A lot of people have been there. It's an amazing facility for what it is. It's not a hotel. It's not supposed to be a hotel, but they've done a great job with it. And I'm very happy with the judge's decision.
You also mentioned Venezuela. I want to ask one more follow-up question on that. On the U.S. strike on the boat tied with Venezuelan drug cartel, the Maduro regime is pushing back today. In fact, they say the U.S. seeks regime change through military threat. Your reaction to those words, and also, would you like to see regime change in Venezuela?
Well, we're not talking about that, but we are talking about the fact that you had an election which was a very strange election, to put it mildly. I'm being very nice when I say that. I can only say that billions of dollars of drugs are pouring into our country from Venezuela. The prisons of Venezuela have been opened up to our country. They've taken their prisoners, the worst prisoners, murderers, Tren de Aragua, the worst prisoners that you can ever imagine are now happily living in the United States of America. Now, many of them we've gotten out. It's not easy to get them out because of the liberal system that we're working with in many cases, not in all cases. But millions and millions of dollars and billions of dollars of drugs are pouring out of Venezuela and other countries. Look, China, what they're doing with fentanyl is a terrible thing. It comes through Canada and it comes through Mexico, but a lot of it's coming through Venezuela. Venezuela's been a very bad actor, and we understand that. And when you look at that boat, you see the bags of whatever it is there. Those bags those bags represent hundreds of thousands of dead people in the United States. That's what they represent. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, your reaction to the jobs report this morning?
Well, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. We have our great people here, so I'll talk that in a minute. Let's talk about this. We'll give a couple of because these two people want to get to work on the Department of War. So let's keep them first. Yeah.
Mr. President, the DOJ is reportedly considering a ban on transgender people owning guns after the Minneapolis shooting. Do you think
Are we talking in the military?
In general.
Okay, I thought you were talking about in the military.
Different.
I'll refer to that then differently. Because it's not a military question, I'll be able to pass on that very nicely unless you'd like to talk about it. Now, Pete doesn't want any part of that question. Yes, please.
Mr. President, who do you blame for losing India to China? In your post earlier today in the morning, you did put that out.
I don't think we have. I've been very disappointed that India would be buying so much oil, as you know, from Russia. And I let them know that. We put a very big tariff on India, 50% tariff, very high tariff. I get along very well with Modi, as you know. He's great. He was here a couple of months ago. In fact, we went to the Rose Garden, and the grass was so soaking wet. It was such a terrible place to have a news conference. I said, well, let's use a beautiful white stone emblematic of the White House, okay? And it's been very well received. But we had a news conference on the grass. That was my last news conference I had on the grass because everybody sunk in. You probably sunk in. Every reporter out there, they ruined their shoes. We made that change. It's been a really well-received change. Yeah, please, go ahead.
On Venezuela. You've sent F-35s now to Puerto Rico. You've sent naval vessels into the Caribbean. You're concerned about drugs being illegally sent into the United States. How do you describe this buildup, this situation?
Well, I just think it's strong. We're strong on drugs. We don't want drugs killing our people. I believe we lost 300,000. You know, they always say 95, 100,000. I believe they've been saying that for 20 years. I believe we lost 300,000 people last year. I know families that lost their son. Those families will never be the same. I know a family lost a daughter, a beautiful daughter. In fact, it was like she took something that she thought was like a minor deal, and it turned out to be riddled out with fentanyl, the size of the head of a pin, and you're dead. And no, we're stopping the drugs. We're going to save a lot of people. Look, whether it's 100,000, but it's not. It's 350,000 people died last year from drugs. And we're not going to let that happen to this country. Think of that. Think if you're in a war and you lose 300,000. We'll lose 600,000 in the pretty much between Gettysburg and all of that, the Civil War. We lost, 600,000. So we're losing half of that every year to drugs. We're not going to do it. We're not going to allow it to happen. You think of the wars. If we lost 600,000 people in a war, but we lose that every 2 years, more than that. So it's 300 to 350,000 people. And when I see boats coming in, like loaded up the other day with all sorts of drugs, probably fentanyl mostly, but all sorts of drugs, and we're going to take them out. And if people want to have fun going on the high seas or the low seas, they're going to be in trouble. I will tell you, boat traffic is substantially down in the area that happened. And they called it the runway. It's a runway to the United States. and boat traffic is very substantially down on the runway. You can imagine why. I think anybody that saw that is going to say, I'll take a pass. I don't even know about fishermen. They may say, I'm not getting on the boat. I'm not going to take a chance.
What happens if Venezuela flies jets over U.S. naval vessels again?
Well, I would say they're going to be in trouble. We'll let them know about that. We heard that happen, but it wasn't really over, not like they described. But I would say, General, if they do that, you have a choice of doing anything you want, okay? If they fly in a dangerous position, I would say that you can, you or your captains can make the decision as to what they want to do, all right?
Sure. Sir, we have one more.
You said they didn't go over.
Say it?
How close did they get? You said the planes did.
Well, I don't want to talk about that, but if they do put us in a dangerous position, they'll be shot down. Thank you very much, everybody. So we're going to now cover the G20, and I'm going to let these people go back to the Department of War and figure out how to maintain peace. Okay? Thank you very much. Thanks, Pete. Congratulations, General. Thank you very much. Great job.
Sir, just before G20, we do have one more EO for you today. And I should also say that the Department of War EO that you signed was actually your 200th EO since you came back into office on January 20th. That's more than Joe Biden did in his entire term in office, more than Obama did in either of his 2 terms in office. So it's a momentous accomplishment, and congratulations.
That's good, but Biden never signed one.
No, yeah, you've done every one up in here.
They've been signed by the auto pen, right, didn't he? So we really beat him by much more than you think.
The 201st executive order, sir, this relates to hostages and wrongfully detained Americans. This provides a new legal mechanism to declare foreign countries to be countries that engage in those sorts of practices, and gives your administration powerful tools to get American hostages out. This has been a focus of your administration this time around. Adam Bowler's here, and he's done incredible work already. This will give him even more.
I think it's great, and Adam's amazing. So, Adam, do you want to describe how many hostages we've gotten out together, you and I, and you and a couple of other people that we know, and me and a couple of other people that you don't know, but we've gotten a lot of hostages. Do you want to describe it?
Mr. President, you brought back 72 hostages since your term. If we compare that to President Biden, he has gotten 20 taken. So he is negative
20 taken.
20 taken.
They don't take our people so often.
So, Mr. President, when we spoke, you said that was a primary focus, and I'll tell you the job is easy because of you.
And we paid nothing, too.
We pay nothing.
They pay $6 billion. They always paid $6 billion for 5 people. $6 billion. It was just a number I kept hearing. Not only that, $6 billion plus we'd get like 1 person, and they'd get 6. They got one, the Prince of Doom, they call him. He was the #1 arms merchant anywhere in the world ever. And they got him out. And on top of that, we paid money. So, no, we don't do that. You know, once you pay money, then a lot of people start disappearing. They start grabbing reporters, too. They think the reporter is going to get a lot of money. And to me, they would. You'll be well taken care of. I better stress that, because otherwise we have headlines. He said this or he said that. No, I'm not smiling about it. But they would. They'd be grabbing reporters. They'd be grabbing everybody. And especially when you pay the kind of money that Biden and Obama, they used to pay money that was crazy. We don't pay. And if you don't pay, they find it to be not a lucrative business anymore. That's fantastic. Would you like to say something?
Sir, it's really Spihar, Special Envoy Bowler, it's Rick Grinnell, it's Steve Witkoff who brought Americans home. But with this EO you are signing today, you are drawing a line in the sand that U.S. citizens will not be used as bargaining chips, and it provides your Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, the same tool set to punish states who take our citizens wrongfully the same way that we can punish those who sponsor terrorists. This is a very significant EO you are signing today, sir.
Thank you, Sebastian. Very good. You're doing a great job, too.
And this is your Director for Hostage Affairs at the NSC.
Yes, and I hear.
So Julia was seminal as well to all of this.
I heard you're doing unbelievable. Would you like to say something?
Absolutely. It's a outstanding EO, absolutely unprecedented action against those foreign adversaries who would take our people. They now know they are on notice. And it's not acceptable. And if you take our people now, you will pay.
You know, Adam gave up a job where he was making tremendous amounts of money. Big, big stuff. Top of the line, Wall Street. And he wanted to do this. He wanted to do hostages. I offered him other jobs, too, very big jobs. He said, I was shocked, actually. He didn't want them. He wanted to do hostage negotiation. And pretty amazing. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you all. Do you have any questions for them on this very important subject?
I think it shows a lot of your leadership as far as fighting for Americans and fighting for humans. And to think that Joe Biden went in negative territory.
Oh, he went way negative.
Way negative, and you're actually making progress on this. I think this does send a message to the world that we don't negotiate. We're going to stay strong in that type of what they call business.
Well,
one little anecdote that may be of interest. We were told by numerous families who had missing loved ones during the Biden administration that this building, Biden's National Security Council, told those families not to talk about their missing loved ones, to be quiet, not to create any pressure on Biden and on Jake Sullivan, the key propagator of the Russia hoax. This administration has met with those families on a weekly basis.
Right.
People like Adam, yourself, sir, your envoys are doing everything to get every single American home. Not to tell them not to talk about their loved ones, but bring them home.
Well, I can tell you one story that was amazing. A few weeks ago, very little written about it, but there should have been. But it was a very nice gesture. The head of Belarus, who's a very respected man, strong person, strong leader, he released 16 hostages. John Cole, a lawyer who works for me, great lawyer actually, one of the greatest lawyers. But John Cole was over there, and he heard that they had hostages. And you know about this. 16 people he released. And I just want to thank the head of Belarus. But while John was over there, they had, I believe, another 1,400 hostages. Now, not from us, from places all over the world. And just pretty tough place, in all fairness. But they had 1,400. And I believe they're going to be releasing a lot of those 1,400. They're not... I think very few, if any. We got pretty much ours back, and we didn't pay anything. But I very much gave my respects to the leader of the country. Was again, he's a very strong man, but he's got 1,400 or 1,500 or a large number, and we're talking about releasing them. Some are political, I guess. A lot of them are political. And looks like they're going to be released at some point in the pretty near future. So it's a great thing. They have to respect your country. If they respect you and they respect your country, they release it. If they don't, then you have to pay $6 billion. I mean, $6 billion. Can you imagine that, paying $6 billion?
Kind of related, but not really. But could you comment on Tina Peters, who's been locked up behind bars from Colorado defending the election? I think you put out a truth a couple days ago about it.
We have a wonderful woman who was an election official, and she saw cheating in Colorado, and she viewed it as horrible, and she said, what's going on here? And she went to the machine, and she tried to open to find out whether or not it was cheating, and they went to her, and they said, did you touch this machine? Yes. And they arrested her. They arrested her instead of the people that did the cheating. It's a state charge, so it's hard to do anything with, but we're gonna do something. What they did in Colorado, look, Colorado just went to all mail-in voting. That means they cheat. That's why they lost, that's one of the reasons, but that's a big reason why they just lost the whole Space Command situation that is going to Alabama. But when you have mail-in voting, you have nothing but cheating. But this woman is a real patriot, and they put her in jail for a long time. She's 72 years old, 73 years old, and she wanted to find out. She didn't do anything. She touched the machine. She looked at the machine. She's trying to find out what was going on, and they went and arrested her for doing that, and it was supposed to be the other way around. I'm glad you brought that up. They should let her go, let her out. Thank you. Yeah, please.
This isn't really the subject that's talked a lot about, Mr. President, but what about your team's strategy has made them so effective getting a record amount of these hostages, many of whom have been forgotten about home?
I think they respect us. I think they respect us. They know we're not going to pay. Adam is a great negotiator. Steve Witkoff is a great negotiator. Seb is a great negotiator. They're all smart people. They're a little bit natural negotiators. Some people aren't good negotiators. Nothing you can do about it.
And they're afraid of you, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, well, maybe. I don't know. I hope so, or whatever.
We have the best.
I'd like to say respect, but whatever it takes.
Yeah.
I actually say whatever it takes. But we've got a lot of people out, and we'll continue. We don't have too many in. How many are you working on right now?
There's not a lot left.
We got most of our people out. We got them mostly back.
Mr. President, do you have an update on the negotiations to release the rest of the hostages in Gaza?
We're in very deep negotiation with Hamas. We said let them all out right now. Let them all out, and much better things will happen for them. But if you don't let them all out, it's going to be a tough situation. It's going to be nasty. That's my opinion. Israel's choice, but that's my opinion. They got to let them out. You got 20 plus you have about 38 dead people. Young, beautiful, dead people. And I'll tell you, the parents want them every bit as much, almost more, than as if their son or daughter were alive. But you have many dead people that are coming out as part of the deal. It's 20 people, but I think of the 20, there could be some that have recently died, is what I'm hearing. I hope that's wrong. But you have over 30 bodies in this negotiation. Can you believe? I mean, we negotiate for people that are living here. We know that at least 30 people are dead, and we're negotiating to get them out. The parents want them back so badly, as if they were alive. Every bit as much. It's really pretty amazing. It's very sad. I'm in the middle of it. And I put out the other day, I said, we want all 20. We don't want two. I was the one with myself and my people, Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner was great on this. But they got a lot of people out. We got almost all of them out. They're down to 20. But, Adam, we got like a tremendous number out. But I always said when you get down to the final 10 or 20, you're not going to get them out unless you're going to do a lot. And doing a lot means capitulation. That's no good either. It's a very tough situation. But I put out the other day, let them all out. Every single one. No more twos and ones. We'll give you one this week, and in 2 months we'll give you two more. And there's negotiation going on right now. Okay.
And real quick, what is the biggest challenge negotiating with Hamas right now? 10 to 20, what do they want to let them free?
Well, they're asking for some things that are fine. Look, you have to understand, you have to remember October 7th. People forget October 7th. It's not an easy thing to forget, right? But people forget, or they maybe purposely forget October 7th. So, you have to put that into the equation very strongly. It's amazing. Some people even deny it. They deny it. They're crazy. But I've seen tape that's as violent as anything that you can imagine. Many of you have seen those same tapes. So you have to put that into the equation too. So it's not an easy situation. It's a tough one. But there are 20 people, maybe a little less, but there are 20 people that we want out. We want the bodies of these parents. They are. I've never seen anything like it. The level of love that they have, they want their children back. And, I see demonstrations, big demonstrations in Israel about the hostages, not about the war, about the hostages, which puts Israel in a tough position because, it's tough to prosecute a war when you have people they want the 20 people back. They just want them back very badly and everything that goes with it. So it's very sad. Thank you very much. We're going to talk now about the G20. I figured we could wrap 2 or 3 up. The last time I took a day off, everybody said bad things happened to me. You know that, Seb? I took 1 day off. I didn't take it off. I was working. In fact, I was here. But I didn't do a news conference, and they said bad things happened to the president.
That's why they're fake news, Mr. President.
It's fake news. If you look, Biden, he had a press conference. He missed it for about a year, right? About a year. And I never saw any stories like that about him. He didn't have, and when he had one, they'd ask him, what flavor ice cream do you like? He'd say vanilla. How many times have they asked him that question? Every What's your favorite ice cream, sir? Vanilla. Okay, that's enough. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. They don't have to go through this, but we all have a good time. I only do it for one reason. I think it's good for the country. And we are very transparent. There's never been transparency like we have. There's nothing to hide. So thank you very much on this, Will. Great job. Appreciate it. So we're going to talk about Florida, the great state of Florida now, because it's going to be a very exciting thing to host the G20. And as we celebrate our nation's 250th anniversary next year, the United States will have the honor of hosting exactly that, the G20 summit, right here in America for the first time in nearly 20 years. This afternoon, I'm thrilled to announce that the 2026 G20 conference, which will be, I could read off the countries that we're talking about, but you know who they are, I think. Does anybody want me to list them specifically? Jennifer, you're okay? Okay, but will be held in one of our country's greatest cities, beautiful Miami, Florida, where we have the mayor with us, Mayor Suarez. And I want to thank Francis for being here. I thought he might be in this office. You know, he almost got there. There's a couple of votes. Right? A couple of votes. It's not as easy as they think, right? As it looks. It's not that easy. But he's an amazing guy, very popular in Florida. The agenda for next year's summit is being organized by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who is right here. Hi, Scott. I saw him standing over there, nice, tall, good-looking guy, but he moved very quickly. Carolyn, you did a good job. Does Caroline do a good job, would you say? Is she a star? How do you compare with the last administration's person? No? You don't want to get into that. Yeah, I think we're very happy with Caroline. But Scott Bessent is talking about a good job. He's done a fantastic job, and we're very proud of him. He's very much involved with the G20. And the NEC director, Kevin Hassett, is truly a talented guy. And he's certainly being thought of to go to a different position, and we'll find out about that pretty soon. I don't know. Would you like to be that? I won't ask you that question. I think, who wouldn't want it? I think it's the greatest position in the world. You know, you come out, you make a speech, and then you go away for 30 days or 40 days, and you come out, make another speech. The market goes up or down depending on what you want to say. I've never seen an easier position than that. Unfortunately, you need good instincts, so we have somebody in there now that doesn't have them. We call them too late. But it will focus on unleashing economic prosperity by eliminating the burdensome regulations, unlocking affordable energy, and pioneering new technologies. And it's going to be very important. The United States is already leading by example, and America is the hottest country anywhere on earth. We have more being built under construction now than they think anybody that they've ever seen. I mean, literally, some of these places are just really unbelievable what they're building, the size. You know, if you spent $50 million on a shopping center someplace, it's a big building, pretty big building. But when you spend $50 billion on essentially a building, a building's going up for $50 billion. They're going to be building their own electricity, and many of them have been given permits already to go, and they're starting construction. Some have started construction quite a while ago, and very early in the administration. We let them do that. You know, we have a grid that's obviously an old grid. It's been around for a long time. We could never handle the kind of numbers that you're talking about in terms of electricity, and we're letting them build their own plants. They build their own plants with their structures. So they build their structure, they build their buildings, and they build an electric producing plant with it, like Con Edison in New York that I grew up with, and like others that make electricity. They make it for New York. These plants will make it for their building, for AI. Then you have a lot of the car plants going up. Most of them won't need that kind of electricity, but they have the right to do that also. So we're allowing companies to build electric plants. They become, essentially, Scott, I guess they become utilities, right, if you think about it. And it's very exciting. We're going to end up with more electricity than China, and it's going to be built at no cost to us. And I'm telling them, build more than you need, and you'll sell it back into the grid. So they'll be able to sell it back into the grid on top of everything else at no cost to the American taxpayer. It's very exciting. And frankly, if we didn't do that, we wouldn't be leading with AI. We wouldn't be probably even doing any AI. It would be 20 years to get an approval. So they're building massive amounts of electricity as we speak. We've eliminated $5 trillion worth of federal regulations, another big thing since I took office. And if you remember the first term, we took out more regulation than any other president in history times. You could add the top 4, and they wouldn't come anywhere close to what we were. That's one of the reasons we had such the most successful 4 years of any president economically. And this is blowing it away. I think this will blow it away. When these plants start to even getting close to opening, I think you're going to see numbers that we've not seen before. And we've increased oil production by more than 300 barrels a day. That's a lot. Blue-collar wages are rising at the fastest rate in 60 years, and trillions of dollars of investment is pouring into the USA. It's going to be over $17 trillion very shortly, and nobody ever thought a thing like that was possible. What made it possible were, number one, they were happy with November 5th. They were happy with the election. And number two, the tariffs are bringing countries in. I mean, it's so vital to our country. It's before the courts now, and I hope we're going to do very well. We had 4 great opinions just come out, as you know, from judges. In a couple of cases, there were Obama-appointed judges that felt they had to do what was right for the country. So I respect that greatly. I respect them for doing it. But we have very strong opinions, and it'll end up going to the Supreme Court. And it's just vital for the country. Vital, absolutely. We're at a level that we've never thought we'd be at, and it's because of the tariffs. Countries are pouring into our country because of you avoid tariffs if you build here. If you don't build here, you pay a lot of money. But if you build here, so what people are doing is they're coming in, they're building here. No different than what other countries have done to us. But we have a big advantage over other countries. We have a market that we built up during our 4 years that was amazing. We took a commanding lead during that 4-year period. So it's a very exciting thing, but I look forward to showing our incredible success to the world when we visit Miami next year. And I'd like to ask Mayor Suarez, truly a highly respected gentleman who's loved in his city, and we're gonna do a great job. We're gonna work together and do a fantastic job. Mayor, would you say a few words, please?
Of course. Thank you, Mr. President. It's a tremendous honor to be with you here today in the Oval Office to make this historic announcement, just looking at the sign, which is so beautiful.
Good job.
Yeah, it's a great job. As you know, Mr. President, you were elected by double digits. You were the first Republican president over 30 years to win Miami-Dade County. And you did it because you followed through on your promises. And in Miami, what we're doing is we are following through on those promises as well. We've kept taxes low. We've kept people safe. We've leaned into innovation. We've grown 150% in the last 10 years. We've created one of the most intriguing ecosystems in the world. And this decision is not only generationally important for the city, but it puts the city on the map as one of the truly great global cities. So on behalf of all of the workers
Adams
of
is
Miami,
speaking. Hold on, Eric Adams is speaking right now.
Industry, I know you own
Let's go to
many
Eric
hospitality
Adams.
assets and properties. All of the.
Let's go to Eric Adams, Mayor of New York, speaking right now.
And to New Yorkers, I want to speak directly to you. There has been so much speculation, communications, announcements of what I'm doing, no matter what I have stated over and over again publicly. So I want to be clear with you. Andrew Cuomo is a snake and a liar. I am in this race, and I'm the only one that can beat Mandani. Andrew has had a career of pushing black candidates out of races. You've heard me say it over again. Carl McCall, Charlie King, David Patterson. This is his career that must stop with me. This city can't go backwards, New Yorkers. This is a city that I inherited, where crime was out of control, COVID, no one wanted to be on our subway system. We watched what happened in housing. The reason people are having these conversations is because I made this city safe. I committed myself and dedicated myself to a city that I love. And I'm going to continue to do that. This polo shirt that I'm wearing that says Eric Adams, Mayor of the City of New York, I'm going to wear that for another 4 years. We can't go backwards. We can't have a city that's filled with encampments like I inherited. We can't have a city where crime and guns are on our streets like I inherited. We can't have a city where unemployment was high across the city, but specifically for black and brown communities like I inherited. While children were not getting a quality education like I inherited. Where low-income people were not receiving the support they deserved like I inherited. What we have done in 3.5 years shows why we have to continue the success we have. I have 2 spoiled brats running for mayor. They were born with silver spoons in their mouths, not like working class New Yorkers. I'm a working class New Yorker. They are not like us. They've never had to fight. They never had to struggle. They never had to go through difficult times like you and I had to go through, New Yorkers. This is such a pivotal and important period, and we have to get it right. And so there's a lot of reports that I'm in Washington on Monday. Those reports are wrong. I'm not. I'll be moving throughout this city in the 5 boroughs that made me mayor in the first place. I'm running for re-election, and I'm going to tell New Yorkers every day why I believe I should be the mayor of the city of New York in 2026. And yes, I hear the polls, I hear the comments, I hear the pundits, but those are the same polls that stated 8 weeks after that Andrew Cuomo was up by 36 points. And even his poll had him up by 10 points. Those are the same polls that stated he was going to walk into becoming the mayor of the city of New York, who he believes is a consolation prize because he made the determination to step down. I am running, and I'm going to beat Mandani, and I'm going to continue the success that this city has witnessed. And yes, there's many challenges, and yes, I hear it over and over again. It's almost Groundhog Day, folks. How many times have I been told throughout this journey to step aside, to surrender, to give up, to give in? That's the same thing we tell everyday New Yorkers. Everyday New Yorkers are not giving up, are not giving in, are not surrendering. And so the mayor is not going to do that. The voters will determine who's the next mayor of this city. And I will respect the outcome from the voters. I love this city, and I gave this city my all. And I'm going to continue to give them my all every day. And New Yorkers, you'll decide. Do you want a working class mayor that's like you, one who struggled like you, one who lived in poverty like you, one who wondered where your next meal will come from like you? Or do you want 2 individuals who had it all and decided that the elitists would run this city and not a working class mayor? That's the decision.
What are you going to
do?
All right, so Eric Adams is staying in the race.
What's your evidence that Andrew Cuomo Why are you afraid of taking questions?
All right, now let's go back to Trump.
Is he the one with the silver spoon?
Now we're going back to Trump Live. Hold on a second here. One moment.
As the president was saying earlier about the Defense Department of War, the U.S. is back on the international stage as a leader. We have whittled down the G20 back to basics. We are making it work for the American people better than ever. We have the G20 had become basically the G100 this past year. So it will be a concentrated group in Miami, seeing the best America has to offer with American leadership, thanks to President Trump.
Thank you very much. Great job, and a great job you're doing. Kevin, would you like to say a few words?
Mr. President, I think this G20 meeting, where the world leaders will come to the great city of Miami, is going to be viewed as one of the most important meetings in global history, because what's going to happen is the golden age is going to be documented so well in the data by next summer that you're going to have one of the best speeches written for you that you've ever seen, because we're just going to be talking about the accomplishments of the next year.
I think so. A lot of these plants are going to be open by then.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of jobs are coming in, like I think we've never seen before. It's going to be great. Monica, would you like to say something?
Thank you, Mr. President. We're so looking forward to having the United States of America host the G20 in Miami in December of next year. And we're also looking forward to having this as a showcase of American strength, vision, innovation, and power under your bold leadership, Mr. President. It is going to be the G20 in the Trumpian golden age.
Thank you very much. Any questions on the G20?
Can I just,
G20.
You just said a moment ago that you were very complimentary of Kevin's work, and I was just wondering if he's your man
Of Kevin?
Yes.
Yeah, I am very complimentary. I think he's fantastic.
And for the Fed, he's your man.
I didn't say that. I said he's fantastic. But no, I sort of know who I'm going to pick, but no, I didn't say anybody in particular. But Kevin is certainly one of the three. They say four, but probably three. That he's a highly respected person. He's great. He's great. He believes in low interest rates, and we all do. But sometimes you have to raise them to stop inflation. We had the worst inflation, I guess, essentially that we've ever had in the Biden administration, and it really hurt people. You know, costs are way down. Our energy costs are way down. And, you know, when energy comes down, everything comes down. And we brought down the price of groceries and specifically the price of eggs. You remember that first week when you were screaming about eggs? I said, I know nothing about them. I just got here. That's Biden's problem. But we got the cost of eggs down to really low numbers. So we brought costs down for people. And, you know, it's something I said. And the Democrats have this false narrative. They say, oh, costs went up. They just say things that it's just like incredible. If you look at energy, I think you're going to be at $2 a gallon with cars very shortly. $2. It was $4, $5 under the Democrats. That's a huge, it's like a massive tax cut. And speaking of tax cuts, we gave you the largest tax cut in history in the bill that we just approved. The largest tax cut in history. And there'll be no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. One of the big things you get is you buy a car and you borrow money to buy the car, you're allowed to deduct your interest, which, Scott, has never happened before. You know, rich people like to talk about deductions. Middle income, they never gave them deductions. I got them one of the best deductions, an interest deduction. So it's great. Jennifer, please.
Yeah, a couple questions on the G20, sir. Is there any update on your plans to attend this year's G20? And then are you saying for next year?
I won't be going this year. It's in South Africa. I won't be going. JD will be going, great vice president, and he looks forward to it. But no, I won't be going to that.
And then on the guest for 2026, are you saying it'll just be exclusively the 19 countries and the 2 blocks? There won't be any?
No, we're going to invite other countries as observers. They call them observers, but they'll have something to say. But we're going to invite Poland. Already I've issued them an invitation. They're great. They were just here, as you know. Great leader, great new leader. One of the big surprises, I was so happy I endorsed him, actually, and he won. And he's going to be a great leader of Poland. But I've invited Poland already.
What about Russia? What about Russia?
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't thought of that. No, I haven't thought of that. That's an interesting question. I'm going to think about that for a little while.
Mr. President, you just mentioned that the tax cut bill. Why the rebrand from one?
Makes sense. But right now we're puzzled about the BLS numbers and looking forward.
We were a little behind, so I just skipped ahead to live. Sorry about that.
And again, we're building. You know, they've started building all of these factories and plants, including car factories. Car factories are coming back. You know, we lost more than 50% of our car production over the years, and I think we're going to get all of it back. It's coming back in really rapidly. Really, we're building a lot of car plants. Indiana, places that you don't think of it so much, are taking, but also Detroit. Lots of places it's coming in where I think we're going to get everything. You know, we've lost it over a period of 40 years, and I think we're going to get it all back in a very short period of time. And big ones, big plants, incredible plants that were never going to come back. Without the tariffs, they wouldn't have come back. And I think without the election on November 5th, they wouldn't come back either. The election was very important also. Yeah, please.
As we've been here, Mayor Adams of New York has announced that he's staying in the mayoral race there. Can you react to that and also tell us?
No, I mean, he has to do what he wants to. No, I mean, he's free to do what he wants. It would seem to me, and everybody in this room, including you, that the only way you're going to beat the communists, because you have a communist running, which is fine. I'll have to deal with a communist in New York City. I never thought that was going to happen. this is something I didn't think was going to happen, Scott. You're going to have to explain this one because we're going to have a communist mayor. It would seem to me that if he stays in, if you have more than one candidate running against him, it can't be one. If you have one candidate, if he's the right candidate, I would say that Cuomo might have a chance of winning if it was a one-on-one. If it's not one-on-one, it's going to be a hard race. And we'll get used to a communist, and he's going to have to go through the White House and get approvals for everything. And we're going to make sure that New York is not hurt. We want to make sure that New York is cherished and taken care of. And so I didn't know he was running or not running.
But you didn't offer him an ambassador?
No, I didn't do that. No, I wouldn't do that. It's nothing wrong with doing it, but I didn't do that.
The outcome of G20, we understand that it'll be held at Doral.
Yes, it's going to be a Doral, yeah.
You considered that with the G7 last time you decided against it. Why go forward with it now?
Well, I think that everybody wants it there because it's right next to the airport. It's the best location. It's beautiful, beautiful everything. They actually requested that it be there because locationally it's the best. And we will not make any money on it. We're doing a deal where it's not going to be money. There's no money in it. I just want it to go well. And it's going to be each country will have its own building. I think it'll be really a beautiful thing. And Doral's been very, very successful. One of the most successful properties in the country. And frankly, it's the problem is in December. That's the biggest month in Florida. So, using it for you can't get a room in Florida in December, January, etc. That area, and that's the time we're talking about. So. From that standpoint, it's not good, but we want to make sure it's good. I think Doral would be the best location. And again, they'll have their own buildings. It'll be incredible for them. And being like 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes from the airport, and it's a big airport, international, all of the planes will be able to land, go right into their quarters. So I think it'll work out very well.
Earlier on your Fed answer, sir, you said that you're looking at maybe 3 candidates. Or
3 candidates.
Should we interpret that you like Secretary Bessent in his current role?
Well, I like him too, but I had him as a 4th. I had 4. You were talking about 4, now I'm talking about 3. He told me I'm not leaving. He wants to be doing, and if he was leaving, he would certainly be one of the people I'd want it. But I asked him specifically. I could ask him right now, would you rather stay where you are as Treasury, or would you rather go to the...
Sir, I'm the only person on the planet who does not want the job.
Okay. He really told me, he said, I love what I'm doing.
Should we assume...
I wouldn't want to really take him because he is doing a great job.
Are the top 3 still then Mr. Waller?
I am looking at Kevin also, and I'm looking at... I would say you could say those are the top 3. Good job. It's very good.
You're saying that you believe Andrew Cuomo would be the best one-on-one candidate against him?
Well, I think if I'm only going by the polls. It's not an endorsement or anything. It just seems that he's second. And what you do to win is you take the guy who's second and you hopefully add 1 and 2. But maybe if the 1 isn't getting out, then he's not getting out. And that's okay. I think the mayor's a very nice person. I helped him. He was got caught up in a scam by the Biden administration, what they did. So I helped him out a little bit, but I would understand why he doesn't do it. I do think this. I think if you have more than one candidate, we've got ourselves a communist mayor in New York. And I don't like communist mayors. I don't like them. Yeah?
You passed one big beautiful bill, sir. 5 months, all these slew of events next week. World Cup, G20, all America 250. Given this, what's your economic outlook for the year of 2026? How much growth do you think is reasonable for us to expect economically next year?
Well, I heard, and we were on a very downward path with Biden, and I heard that the most we could do is 1% GDP, and now I'm hearing 3.2% and 3.5% and all. And our big year won't be really next year. I think it'll be the year after, because when these plants start opening up, it takes a period of time to build them. We're going to have tremendous job growth. It's unprecedented. We have unprecedented in history. There's never been anything like it, because we're going to have more than $17 trillion invested. There's never been anything like that. If we did $1 trillion in 1 year, and this is 6 months, 7 months, because we really focused on it over the last 6 months. But we're going to be doing. Nobody's ever seen numbers like this. When this stuff starts opening up, our country is being rebuilt. And by the way, Washington, D.C. is being rebuilt. You know, in addition to the fact that we have a safe city now, and our National Guard was fantastic and worked with the mayor, worked with everybody, we're also doing a refurbishing of Washington. We're going to redo some of the roads, the surfaces. We're going to redo the medians. We're going to take the broken tiles off the tunnels and put brand new tiles up. And we're going to regrass all the parks. They're going to be regrassed by people that build world-class golf courses and not necessarily people that work for me, because I don't care about that. I just want to, I'm very good at grass. You know, grass has a life just like you have a life, right? It has a life. Well, this grass has been up longer than, it's like 4 lives, okay? That's why there's a lot of areas where there's just no grass. But we're going to regrass all of the parks. We're going to, in a year from now, you won't even recognize it. Graffiti's gone, the tents are gone, the medians falling into the roads are gone, the potholes will be gone, the marble's going to be polished and beautiful. It's all going to be beautiful. We're working with Clark Construction, who's, you know, one of the, well, definitely the biggest here, one of the biggest in the country. And they've been great. And we're going to do about a 10-mile radius from the White House, from the Capitol, looking sort of at both of them, go right in the middle of both of them and start drawing circles. And everything is going to be spit-shined. You know, when the head of Poland came here last week, and when other leaders came here, they came, a lot of them have been here over the last 8 months. I said, what do you think? And they said that we're a little surprised at the look, the filth on the road. Now it's much better. We've got it much better, but we have to do some construction things. I mean, you know, you have medians that are all broken and rotted and rusty and disgusting. And it's going to, they're all going to be changed. You're going to have a very different look. You're going to have the look of prosperity, not the look of poverty. But the big thing right now, initially, is we have no crime in Washington. We literally have no crime. They said it's down 87%. It's not down 87. It's down like 100%. We have almost no crime. People are going to restaurants that wouldn't have even thought about it. And I know families that have gone 4, 5, 6 times to restaurants over the last few weeks. And you people are in the same category. I mean, yes? I agree on that. Thank you. It's a whole different place, right? No, that's very nice. And you're so tough usually. I like her now. Right? No, because she was truthful. Is that a correct statement, Brian?
Yes, sir, it is.
I heard you were actually mugged. You're a big, strong guy.
I can't do anything when he has the gun.
No, you can't. You know, you say, thank you very much, right?
Yeah, follow up on the beautification of DC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just out front of the White House is a blue tent that originally was put there to be an anti-nuclear tent for nuclear arms. It's kind of morphed into more of a anti-American and sometimes anti-Trump at many times.
Where is this blue tent?
Right in front of the White House on the North Lawn on the other side of the Black Gate in Lafayette.
I haven't known this.
All of us in here walk right by it every day. It is an eyesore.
Oh, I didn't know that. Take it down. Take it down today, right now. Nobody told me that. So you're saying there's a blue tent?
It's been there for 30 plus years. It was originally a peace tent, but it's kind of morphed into something.
Yeah, morphed into radical left. Okay.
Well, what I've heard,
is it in the Ellipse? Where is it?
No, it's in Lafayette Park. It's actually
Lafayette Park. Take it down.
Okay.
Okay.
What's interesting about it is that other people tell me it's a public health hazard because people sleep in there, they eat, there's rats.
Yeah.
But also it could be a national security risk because people can hide things in there, they can
Okay.
weapons in there.
We're going to look into it right now. We have removed over 50 tent sites. Not 50 tents, hundreds and hundreds, maybe 1,000. I think it's over 1,000 tents, but 50 sites. So I'm a little surprised to hear that, but we're going to look into it right now. Lafayette.
On the National Guard,
Yes.
the DC mayor has, of course, gotten on board with your plan for DC, but the DC Attorney General has said that he plans to, that he's suing you for your federalization of the police. What's your
Can you imagine we have an Attorney General who's not related at all to the mayor, by the way. You know, it's a totally separate department. We've got so many separate departments. You have the district attorney has nothing to do with the mayor. The whole thing is crazy. But how about this? We just set a record on low crime in Washington, D.C., and we have a man suing us to let us go back to high crime. We're going to have to be here for a little while to make this really work long term after we're gone. And so we're going to meet that head on, and I suspect we'll be very successful. and I can always declare a national emergency because it was a national emergency. But right now we have the safest city. We have now one of the safe cities in the country. We had almost the worst. I mean, a city that was as bad as some of the horror shows that you've heard about for years. And we're going to fix some of those horror shows too. Okay?
President, the Google ruling today that you posted on Truth Social about the Europeans buying Google.
So Google is a great company. Yeah, Google is a great company, American company. Apple is a great American company, and so many others. And the European Union, I don't know why they do it, but they have been finding them numbers that have been astronomical. More so before I got here. But Apple paid $17 billion a fine in the last year. Apple, $17 billion on a case that a lot of people think they weren't guilty of. And no, I'm going to be speaking to the European Union, but it's not fair. Google just got fined $3.5 billion, and they've already paid $13 billion. They're up to $16.5 billion. And people say there was nothing wrong with what they did. It's almost a source of income to run Europe. It's become a source of income. And many other companies too, mostly tech companies, but we can't let that happen.
What are you seeking from the Europeans and by when?
No, I can just say you can't do that. I mean, you know, they respect us now. They didn't respect us a year ago. European Union respects us. Look, they're paying us $950 billion, right? They got to respect us. They were very disrespectful of our country. I have great respect for Ursula. I've gotten to know her very well. And I just don't think it's fair that they're taxing, and really it's almost become like a tax. It's become so regular. And I've gone to lawyers and I've asked them, what do you think? They said, they didn't do anything wrong. We can't do that. It's not fair. And it's interesting. I don't hear that about China, and I don't hear that about other places. I hear it about the European Union. We were talking about it last night. I think we had a gathering. That was the highest IQ group of people I think any room has ever had last night, you know? It was about as high as you can have. All the tech geniuses were there. They love their computers. They would tell me more about chips that I want to know.
Did this come up last night?
Yeah, it did. It did come up. A couple of companies said that they were taxed by the European Union. It's interesting. They weren't complaining about, in that regard, China. They weren't complaining about other places. It's the European Union, and they have. Apple was again forced to pay $17 billion last year. So I think we're going to change that around. It's just not fair. We don't want that to happen to our companies. And you know, if somebody does that, we should be doing it to them. If they've got to pay, let them pay us. But you just can't do that to our companies. Yes.
Was Elon Musk invited to the dinner last night?
I wanted to go back to the G20 real quick in Miami. You know South Florida very well. Many cities are being considered for the G20. Was this a hard decision, or did Miami just stand out to you?
It wasn't a hard, really. I mean, look, it's got the weather. We're in December, so it's, you know, cold in some places, and that's beautiful too. Cold weather's nice. It's all nice, you know, depending on the city. But no, Miami really wanted it. The mayor really wanted it. The people down there really wanted it. You might just address that for a second, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, as I said, I mean, a conference of this kind does two things. Number one is it puts us on the global map with the great global cities, and I think that's something that we've been trying to achieve for a generation. And I think number two, it's a tremendous boom for your economy. I mean, as the president knows, he has, you know, multiple hospitality assets, and the working people of Miami, the small business owners, are going to benefit tremendously from the economic impact of a conference like this in our city. So it's an image thing, but it's also benefiting working people in our community.
Do you think Xi and Putin will attend the G20? They're members.
That's an interesting question. I'd love them to if they want to. I mean, they can, you know, as observers. They'd be observers, so I'm not sure they want to be an observer.
Sir,
if they want to, we can certainly talk.
Can I ask you another Florida question? The vaccine mandates that were rolled back for school children. What do you think about that?
Well, I think we have to be very careful. Look, you have some vaccines that are so amazing. The polio vaccine, I happen to think, is amazing. A lot of people think that COVID is amazing. You know, there are many people that believe strongly in that. But you have some vaccines that are so incredible. And I think you have to be very careful when you say that some people don't have to be vaccinated. It's a very tough position. So I'd give you an answer. I'll give you a feeling, but just initially I heard about it yesterday, and it's a tough stance. Look, you have vaccines that work. They just pure and simple work. They're not controversial at all. And I think those vaccines should be used. Otherwise, some people are going to catch it, and they endanger other people. And when you don't have controversy at all, I think people should take it. Okay.
One more follow-up on your comments on the taxes. On the upcoming tax bill, are you discussing, do you want that new tax bill to eliminate inflation from calculating?
When you say the upcoming tax bill, because when you have an upcoming, we just passed the biggest tax cut in the history of our country. So there's nothing upcoming. There's something that we just passed. So we passed the biggest tax cut in the history of our country for the middle class, for the worker. And that's the only bill that we're really talking about. We did a good job. It's very comprehensive. And I will say the Democrats, if you gave them every point that they wanted, every point that they've dreamt of all their lives, you wouldn't get one Democrat vote. They really are. They've become deranged, sick. It's crazy. If you gave them a list of the top 10 things that the Democrats wanted and you put them in a bill to get passed, you wouldn't get one vote. It's the only thing they have. They stick together, but they're dying. I mean, they're down to 16% approval rating, the lowest rating in history for either party. And we have the highest rating we've ever had. The Republicans have the highest rating we've ever had.
On the National Guard, have you decided which city that you want to go into now?
Yeah, I have. I have. I'm not going to say it now, but yeah, I have. We're going to go into another place and straighten it out. And I will say this: I watched today. I didn't know that was continuing to go on, but Portland is unbelievable. What's going on in Portland? The destruction of the city. Well, I'm going to look at it now because I didn't know that was still going on. This has been going on for years. So we'll be able to stop that very easily. We'll be able to stop. But that was not on my list, Portland. But when I watched television last night, this has been going on. You wouldn't be standing if you were the mayor. You would be. Can you imagine what they're doing? They're walking in, throwing smoke bombs into stores. These are paid terrorists. Okay. These are paid agitators. These are professional. I watched that last night. I'm very good at this stuff. These are paid agitators. They get paid money by radical left groups, not radical right groups, radical left groups. And they get paid a lot of money. And you see it with the signs. They all have perfect signs that are printed. They look as good as that sign. Those signs aren't made in basements. They're made at professional printing offices, and they cost a lot of money. These are paid agitators, and they're very dangerous for our country. And when we go there, if we go to Portland, we're going to wipe them out. They're going to be gone, and they're going to be gone fast. They won't even stand the fight. They will not stay there. They've ruined that city. I have people that used to live in Portland. They've left. Most of them have left. But what they've done to that place is it's like living in hell. Yeah, go ahead.
So
Thank you for your statement before.
AP is reporting that you would be banning visas to delegations who will be attending the UNGA, the UN General Assembly, including Brazil. Your reaction on that, sir?
That who's banning them?
The Trump administration.
Well, we are talking about things. We're very upset with Brazil. We tariff them very high because of the fact that they're doing something that's, very unfortunate. I love the people of Brazil. We have a great relationship with the people of Brazil, but the government of Brazil has changed radically. It's gone very left. It's gone very radical left, and it's hurting Brazil very badly. They're doing very poorly, very, very poorly. So we'll see.
And are you ready to reset relations with India at this point?
I always will. I'll always be friends with Modi. He's great. Prime Minister, he's great. I'll always be friends, but I just don't like what he's doing at this particular moment. But India and the United States have a special relationship. There's nothing to worry about. We just have moments on occasion.
How are trade talks going with India and with other countries that you haven't reached a trade deal with? They're
going great. Other countries are doing great. We're doing great with all of them. We're upset with the European Union because of what's happening with not just Google, but with all of our big companies. They just, hit them with these unbelievable fines, $17 billion and $14 billion. And they use that money to run Europe. It's almost become like common. It's almost become a yearly occurrence, like it's a tax. So it's very unfair. I want to thank you all very much, and we'll see you around. We're going to see you in Florida, but we'll see you a little bit before that, I suspect. Okay?
What are you having for dinner?
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Chris.
Well, I'll be having something good here. I'll be at the White House.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, so we heard, if I remember right, there were basically two announcements from President Trump. The first one was that he is rebranding the Department of Defense to the Department of War. The White House posted about it, guys. Where is it here? Right here. Look. See? The Department of Defense, now Department of War. President Trump signed an executive order restoring the name of the Department of War. So that was one. I don't think that they're getting rid of the name Department of Defense, because I think to do that they would need an act of Congress. But I think it's basically adding a second name and saying they're going to use that second name, as I understand it. I haven't seen the actual executive order yet, but that seemed to be from what he was saying. Also, the other one was that the G20, which is, the G20 is composed of 20 of the world's major economies. He said, I'm thrilled to announce that the G20 will be held in Miami at the Trump National Doral Resort and Hotel. That was the other announcement. Also, interestingly, he said he was asked if Putin and Xi would be coming to the G20, and he said maybe as observers. Now, Russia and China are in the G20. So I don't know why they wouldn't be full participants. But whatever, I don't really want to linger on that. Okay, so I'm going to take some comments from you guys. He took questions. He talked about a bunch of different things. He said he knows where the National Guard troops and law enforcement surge is going to go next, but he didn't say what city it is. He also said he was considering sending forces into Portland, Oregon. He mentioned that today. Yeah, if you missed it, it was like a whole, probably maybe about an hour and a half announcement and answering questions. An hour and 15 minutes, hour and 20 minutes. I want to take some comments from you guys. Oh, and Mayor Eric Adams made an announcement today, and out of nowhere, it basically came out that Mayor Eric Adams of New York was making an important campaign announcement. And there's been all this reporting suggesting that the Trump administration was offering him some kind of job in the administration to leave the race, join the Trump administration, because you heard President Trump say he wants only one person to be running against Zoran Mamdani in New York, because he says Mamdani, for mayor, he says Mamdani's a communist, and he wants the field of 3 running against Mamdani to go down to 1, and he thinks Cuomo has the best shot. So it sounds like he thinks the other 2 should drop out. But it was thought that maybe Eric Adams would announce today that he was getting out of the race and taking a position in the Trump administration. He did not say that. Eric Adams said very forcefully he is staying in the race. He also said he was very critical of Cuomo. He called Cuomo a snake and a liar. So we cut in to see that as well. All right, let me take a few comments from you guys. I got some thank yous I got to say too. Orville said 90 minutes of weaving. If you guys want to watch it, you can rewind and watch. We missed a little of the press conference because I had to go to the Eric Adams thing and see that live. So we missed a few minutes of the press conference. I'm sorry. Well, it wasn't a press conference. We missed a few minutes of the Q&A, but sort of towards later in the event. Yeah, Michael said he would look into Portland. He didn't say that troops were definitely going there. He said he's looking into it. Our viewer, Peach Lilac, said send the troops into Portland. Also, there was this thing that happened where I think it was Brian Glenn, who's a reporter who I think is, I think I'm pretty confident from what I've seen Brian Glenn. He usually is asked pretty positive questions to President Trump. In my experience, from what I've seen, his questions to President Trump tend to be very positive about President Trump. Anyways, I think it was Brian Glenn from his voice. I couldn't hear for sure, but I think it was Brian Glenn. Towards the end of the press conference, he asked a question where he was asking about a tent outside of the White House, and President Trump said, take it down, and said they were going to take down this tent. So I don't really know anything about that. I remember that happening. Pope J. Dalla says it was totally Brian. You can go back and watch that if you want to. There was also an executive order, which was the White House said this order designated as state sponsors. What is this here? Hold on. I'll show you. The White House, I don't really know practically what this executive order does, but the White House did say that. Another executive order he signed was this one. Actors designated as state sponsors of wrongful detention may face severe penalties, including economic sanctions, visa restrictions, foreign assistance restrictions, and travel restrictions for U.S. passport holders. So it's like, I guess, a new list called, sounds like, the state sponsors of wrongful detention designation. I don't know, maybe practically they could, the administration could have put those kind of penalties on countries anyway without this designation. I don't know. That was something announced today. Oh, I wanted to show you also regarding the Department of War. Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, posted a video. You can see it right here. Here is the video that Pete Hegseth posted on his X account. Can you guys see this right here? Oops, sorry. No, you can't see it. See, it's a man putting a new sign on Pete Hegseth's door. They take off Secretary of Defense and they put on Secretary of War. One of our viewers says it's just Velcro. I guess it has Velcro on the back. Also, yes, his X now says Secretary of War. He has updated his X to Secretary of War. And then if you go to war.gov, you get the Department of War. Look, they've updated the website. The Department of War. I wonder if you go to defense.gov, does it take you to war.gov? Yes, if you go to defense.gov, it takes you to war.gov. Hey, I want to say a couple thank yous, by the way. Hold on a second here. I owe some thank yous from people who supported during the announcement, which I couldn't really thank you on the air during that. But Zaylin Black, thank you, who says, I don't understand sending in troops. Thank you, Zaylin Black, Ed Weeby for the gift memberships. Thanks, the Vladinator. Thank you, the Vladinator. And Sevenfold, and Bet Noir, and PZ Papa Zulu, and AD. And Allison Hargroves for the memberships, and Bayo Siat Tab, and JD63, and Linda Canadian Nurse. Also, the Vladinator says, release the Epstein files. Transparency equals release the Epstein files. That's what Vladinator says. Thank you, Rokai and Buddy Love, Michael Burmester, Kelly Smith. I'm just behind on the thank yous. Jesse's Girl, Cruella, Jiggle Jess, Hater, PZ Papa Zulu, Leonardo Tesser, Lethal Old Fart, Jackie, The Veggie, Cynthia Moon, Cameron Bukar, Rokai, generic username, Jonathan, Olive Tav, Dan and Maggie. And also Douthis over there on Twitch, Guy from the 207. Yes, Guy from the 207, there was a question about, there's some reporting that claimed that the administration was considering some sort of weapons ban for trans people. And Trump, if I remember right, he didn't seem to know anything about it. That was his response, is that he wasn't really familiar with it. He asked if it was for the military. So he didn't say much about it, and his response to me, as I took it, was basically that he didn't know much about it. Yeah, so without getting into it in a lot of detail, you can see one article about it here. Justice Department talks about banning transgender gun owners, spark fury across political spectrum. The Justice Department is drawing swift condemnation from gun rights groups and LGBTQ advocates alike after floating that it was considering restricting transgender people from owning guns. A move that would all but certainly face immediate constitutional challenges if ever implemented. This is, according to a person familiar with the matter, the discussions came in the wake of the shooting at a Minneapolis Catholic school last month. So I don't believe there's been any official Justice Department about this. There's reporting that says the Justice Department has been discussing it. Just to be clear, I'm not aware of any kind of official announcement from the Justice Department that they're discussing this. I mean, this is one report that says they were discussing it, but I'm not familiar with an official announcement about that. The Justice Department said in a statement in response to questions about the firearms talks that the agency is actively evaluating options to prevent the pattern of violence we have seen from individuals with specific mental health challenges and substance abuse disorders, but the department said no specific criminal justice proposals have been advanced at this time. Guns rights advocates, including the NRA and Gun Owners of America, vowed to fight any proposal that imposes a blanket gun ban targeting a segment of the population. Thanks to Penolta, by the way, over on Twitch, and Big Dog Gaming. Also Megatron. Thanks to the Vladinator, who is wondering if the change to Department of War means a more aggressive, violent foreign policy. AD, our viewer, thinks Mayor Adams has no path to re-election. He says, personally, I think Adams has done a decent job. All right, give me one moment here. Thank you to Trippy for your support. And PZ Papa Zulu. What else? Let me just see. Are there things I am forgetting? Any other people want to make any other comments about the announcements? Um, hold on a second here. Bebos thought it was a great press conference. Are the tanks rolling into Chicago? No tanks. President Trump said that he has decided which city the National Guard is going to next, but he did not say what it is. Some people sent me, I've been seeing this on social media. It's like a clip. I haven't had a chance to watch it, and I don't know what the context was, but some people have been posting on social media this clip about Speaker Johnson talking about Trump. Let me just watch the clip here. But I don't know the context of it. Hold on. Yeah, so Speaker Johnson was talking about President Trump and saying basically he doesn't approve of Epstein's behavior, I think he said. And one of the things he said was he was an FBI informant to try to take Epstein down. Now that could just mean that he answered questions from them at some point. Wasn't that, I mean, isn't that out there? I feel like somebody, either Trump or somebody else, said that recently. So I have to look into that, but I mean, I'm not personally reading so much into that right now. Again, maybe he just meant that at some point the FBI asked Trump questions about Epstein, which I would not be, I mean, that could have happened 20 years ago. What was that? That came up, you know what it was? That was, who was speaking about it? Was it when we were watching? Yes, we were watching the press conference with Epstein victims at the Capitol 2 days ago. And a lawyer for a number of the victims said that President Trump, I think, is this what it is? I think the lawyer, I can't remember. The lawyer said that President Trump was supportive of I think he said something like that President Trump was supportive of the effort to investigate Epstein years ago, and he was saying something like he should be supportive of that now, kind of thing. So anyways, I think that was the lawyer. Maybe it was somebody else, or was it Ro Khanna? I don't know. Somebody said it at the press conference. My point is this. You can watch the press conference and see for yourself. My point is this. Seeing a short clip where Speaker Johnson says that Trump was an FBI informant trying to bring the Epstein stuff down might just mean he's saying that at some point, could have been 20 years ago, Trump answered some questions about Epstein from the FBI. All right, so I'm not reading too much into that right now. I'll have to look into it later. It doesn't mean that Trump was wearing a wire for the FBI and hanging out with Epstein for 5 years with a wire. It doesn't mean that he said that. Macro Geek says it was the lawyer who said the thing I was saying in the press conference. I don't remember. Anyways. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. There's a bunch of stories. We'll have to see what happens with. We'll have to see what happens in Venezuela. As I mentioned, I don't want to get into this in detail right now because we talked about it earlier, but there is reporting, for example, from Reuters that the U.S. is sending, in Fox News, Jennifer Griffin, I believe, reported it too, but that the U.S. is sending stealth fighter jets to, yeah, you can see here, U.S. deploys stealth fighter jets to Puerto Rico to act against drug cartels. You can see here, Reuters reported earlier Friday, citing sources, that the Trump administration has ordered the deployment of 10 F-35 fighter jets to a Puerto Rico airfield to conduct operations against drug cartels. The new deployment comes on top of an already bristling U.S. military presence in the Southern Caribbean as Trump carries out a campaign pledge to crack down on groups funneling drugs to the U.S. The disclosure of the F-35s came just hours after the Pentagon accused Venezuela of a highly provocative flight on Thursday by fighter jets near a U.S. Navy warship. President Trump did say today that if Venezuelan planes came close to U.S. ships in a threatening way, that he basically said like that the military is free to do what they see fit. You can go back and watch that in his answering of questions. So we're going to have to see what happens with that story. We're going to have to see if we see National Guard and ICE presence in new cities in the coming days. That's something we're looking at. If there's any more American military activity on boats coming out of Venezuela or anything else in Venezuela. Another story which we haven't talked about, which I don't want to get into right this second, but really quick, I want to just mention it just to keep it on your radar. A story that, look, this story, keep an eye on this. Maybe at some point we'll do a story on it if a report comes out. Kennedy to link Tylenol use in pregnancy to autism, report says. The Wall Street Journal reported that U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy plans to announce that use of Kenvue's popular over-the-counter pain medication Tylenol in pregnant women is potentially linked to autism, contrary to medical guidelines that say it is safe to use. Kennedy in the report will also suggest a medicine derived from folate called folinic acid can be used to treat symptoms of autism in some people, the Wall Street Journal reported. The Department of Health and Human Services said until the final report is released, claims about its contents are speculation. Shares of Kenvue, which makes Tylenol, sunk 14% after the report. Kenvue said in a statement it believes there is no causal link between Tylenol use during pregnancy and autism. The U.S. FDA and leading medical organizations agree on the safety of acetaminophen, which is the active ingredient in Tylenol, and the U.S. FDA and leading medical organizations agree on the safety of acetaminophen, its use during pregnancy, and the information provided on the label, the company said. Kennedy has promised to find the cause of autism and has long suggested it is related to vaccines without scientific proof. He has also said it must be related to an environmental toxin. Decades of science have yet to establish a definitive cause. For what it's worth, Dr. David Mandel, a professor of psychiatry and autism expert at the University of Pennsylvania, said, "What's striking to me is that this report is supposed to cover all of these new causes, and so far all we're learning is they're rehashing existing research. We have no understanding of why there might be a biological reason that Tylenol would cause autism." Anyways, I don't want to get all into this now. It's a bit of a different story. Maybe if and when this report comes out, we will do a story on it and we will cover it live. But it's a bit of a diversion right now. I just wanted to let you know this is being talked about. Okay? Just wanted to mention it. We didn't get a chance to mention it earlier. All right. So we'll have to see what's happening with all these stories. If there's big developments with any of these stories, we'll do another live stream. How's that? Okay? So we're going to keep an eye on all these various stories. I would not be surprised if developments happen this weekend that we have to cover. If there's something big tonight, we can cover it too. All right. Well, we have done what I think we came to do today, which is cover Trump's announcements. I think the most notable one, I would say, is rebranding the Department of Defense to the Department of War. You can go to the site and see it right now. Go to war.gov, and you will see it is now called the Department of War. So I think I'm going to wrap up this live stream, but I really appreciate you guys being here. If there's big news tonight, I will jump on and cover it, okay? If there's big news this weekend, I will jump on and cover it. So subscribe and follow Agenda Free TV. We cover all kinds of live breaking news here, Agenda Free TV. And I would suggest signing up for the notifications. You never know when big news is going to happen. If you sign up for the notifications, you will get a notification sent to you whenever we go live. It's free. Those notifications are really reliable. We do it through Discord. So sign up for those. The mods will post a link to sign up for the notifications. Also, you can find that a link in the YouTube and Facebook description of this channel. Okay? And I will post updates when I'm not on the air on my X account, which is @Lookner. You can follow me there for updates. @Lookner on X. I will post a link to that in the chat. But I really appreciate people tuning in. A lot of people in the chat making comments. Thanks for letting me read your comments on the air. Thanks to people who have been sending me updates as usual. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. And also, huge thanks to our moderators who have been here today. Our moderators are awesome. We could not have our chat rooms without the moderators. People like Beth Mythical. Thank you, Beth. And our over there YouTube moderators. Also over there on X, moderators like Bastion Girl, Good Luck Duck, LB Prairie Dawn, Matthew Kohai 3, Surly Dev, and all of our other Twitch moderators. Kay Lowry Body, Shannon Davis Hughes, Margaret Riley, Christina Neal on Facebook. Thanks for modding there, and all of our other Facebook moderators. Linda Belk, Larry, and Misha on X. Thanks to all of our moderators. Really appreciate it. And thanks to everybody for who supported the channel. Thanks for anybody who donated. That's really nice of you guys. That is what allows the channel to exist, is your support. So I really, really appreciate it. Let me just make sure I thanked everybody. Okay, I think I got everybody there. Did I get everybody over here? CC143, I need to thank. Thank you, CC. I think I thanked Douthis for the gift sub on Twitch. Thank you, Douthis. If you ever want to donate, you go to agendafree.tv, agendafree.tv. But huge thanks to you guys for all your support of the channel. It's really nice of you. Thank you. Hey, we have a chat room where you can chat with other viewers when we're not live. Our free Discord chat. Check it out. It's the same link as the free notifications, so you can check that out. And thanks so much to our Discord moderators for all you do. Hey, is the Department of Defense Department... So look, we talked about this. So the Defense Department on X is now the Department of War, as you can see right there. They've already changed it. So if you were following the Department of Defense before on X, you're now following Department of War. Okay. Thomas Darwin says, make love, not war. Hey, thanks. If another good way to find out when we're live is follow us on X, Agenda Free TV. at Agenda Free TV. I always post there when we're going live. Excuse me. I also post there when I have updates about the channel. So you can follow there if you want at Agenda Free TV. Also, I want to one other thing. I want to mention the YouTube notifications. For those who watch on YouTube, I'd suggest turning on the YouTube notifications. Those can help you find out when we're live as well. It's a little tricky to do that. What you need to do to turn on the YouTube notifications is you got to subscribe to the channel first. Then you click the notifications bell and you choose all notifications. So again, subscribe, click the bell, choose all notifications. That's on YouTube. Hey, shout out to, I'm sorry I didn't give you a shout out earlier, all of our Facebook subscribers. Sorry, it was kind of busy with all the live video and live things going on. So I didn't get a chance to do it before. Thanks to Paul Anderson for modding as well. Thank you, Paul. Thanks to Sharon Klassen Goslin for being a subscriber to the channel. Robert Real II, Kay Larry Body, Margaret Riley. Thanks for Susan Priest Buchner. Thanks for being a subscriber over there on Facebook. All of our subscribers. Chuck Mosca. Oh, also, somebody gave Facebook stars, which I missed, unfortunately. Kristen McConnell Gates. Thank you, Kristen, for the Facebook stars and for subscribing. Also, thanks Shannon Davis Hughes for subscribing. And Beatout Iwa. Thanks, Beatout, for subscribing. I appreciate that. Oops. Okay, and also I want to thank our Twitch subscribers. Thanks to all of our other Facebook subscribers as well. Really appreciate it. Thanks to our Twitch subscribers as well. People like Wall Street and Shaggy and CC and Artful Nothing and Matthew Kohai 3 and Bastion Girl and Quake Clouds. Thank you for subscribing over there. Douthis, Gonzalez. JSE3, thanks for subscribing. Thank you, Shadow Elf 85 for the bits. Thank you. Thanks to Sajelti for subscribing. I don't think I thanked Sajelti. Also, Jin174. Oh, I missed some people. You know what? I think during the press conference, I missed some people. Faith Takes You Far. And 66 Spade, thanks for the bits on Twitch, and all of our other subscribers and supporters over there. Also, our YouTube members like Debbie and Music Muse, thank you, CAC-A13, Confidence in God, JK Cinar, JD63, Per Holstrand, Thomas Darwin, Cruella, Red Girl, Megatron, Magna Carta, Evelyn in Maine, Justin King, thanks for being members, Val Cargo, Lisa Seckler, Byron Mantooth, Marshmallow, Georgia Culture, and Storm Laughter, Eliza Jane, Marshmallow, and all of our other, Naomi Nocturnal, all of our other YouTube members. And all of our thanks everybody else for watching as well. Slugworth, thank you. Berserker Wolf, PZ Papa Zulu. All right, we're going to wrap this up. Oh, thanks Grant74P for subscribing too. Thanks, Grant. And Girly Sound, thanks for watching. All right. Audrey Burbank, Tia Christie, Paula Thompson, and everybody else. All right, so we're wrapping this up. Thank you so much for watching our. Oops, sorry, I never updated the headline after he ended taking questions. Obviously, he stopped taking questions, so I should have updated the headline. Anyways, sorry about that. But if you missed Trump making his announcements and taking questions, and we had bonus coverage of the Eric Adams announcement that he's staying in the race, you can rewind and watch it. Okay? So that is it for now. Oh, thanks Roberts May Queen, who is moderating as well. Thanks Roberts May Queen, and Janet B as well. Thanks so much for moderating over there on YouTube. I missed you the first time. Thanks everybody for watching. That's it for now, and we'll see you soon with more live breaking news coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.